Oh, I'm stuck.
What up, Division 2, and you're live with Tux, and I got a good show for you. It's Reanimated Week, and the build I'm showcasing features the ever so powerful 1886 rifle. By the end of this week, Bandidos, you are going to be headshot killing kings. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's make sure I'm coming in loud and clear. Chat, for those of you that are here already, please drop me a Tux Live if you can hear me A-okay. I'll lower the music in a moment, but let's just make sure I'm coming in loud and clear. Appreciate you guys. What up, Fat Cat? Welcome to the stream. Glad to hear you're snowed in. I'm actually glad to hear you're snowed in. It's a good place to be over the holidays, I think. But yeah, I hope you guys are having a lot of fun right now in the Division 2. I'm trying to keep it live for you guys. Got a lot going on, a lot of build videos, a lot of events. Hope you guys are making the most of it. Hope you're having a nice little holiday as well. We're just before the new year. Hope you guys are gonna go out in style. Appreciate you, Junior Thompson. Michael Hubbard, yo, Tux Live. All right, it sounds like we are coming in loud and clear. Appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Okay, so a little housekeeping here before we jump into the meat of it. The full build video for the 1886, the video that the build that we're featuring today, is linked below. Okay, so if you haven't seen that yet, that was released and premiered this morning. So definitely check that out after this stream. I will be going over the build details a little bit here, not as thorough as the build video, but because we got a lot of things to talk about. And so these streams are more about you guys. I want to make sure I answer your questions and also pick on some really, I guess, popular topics or things that we need to discuss. Also, I'm putting out several headshot build videos to celebrate the Reanimated event this week, which ends on Monday night, Tuesday morning. Yesterday's build video, which featured the White Death MMR, that really mashes up two playstyles, running, gunning, and sniping, and puts it together so that you can point blank snipe. Anyways, that build video is also linked in the description area below. So if you didn't see yesterday's build video for the Reanimated event, definitely check that one out also. There's a variation of Sucker Punch and Decapitator, which are versions of that build that I released earlier on. And usually they tend to be really popular during these headshot build events. So check that one out as well. And lastly, if you like what I do and you want to support me in the Division 2 community, be sure to hit the like on this stream right now. Subscribe if you haven't, and consider joining Tux's Players Club. There are perks. You know who's in the Tux's Players Club because they all have that little skull next to the name, and as you can see, we have lots of Players Club members here already. Appreciate you guys for showing up. Also, if you didn't know, classified builds are secret builds that I make just for Tux's Players Club. And you gotta be a true or hardcore Bandido member level to access these. But these are extra builds I make really as a thank you for supporting me, the channel, and therefore the entire community. So these are membership perks. And basically that's what I do. I support the community, I create builds, and I build up the community. So if you want to tap into these secret builds, you can get access today by making sure you are at least a true Bandido. I have a link in the description area also, and one I am dropping right now in the chat feed, so you have easy access to that good stuff. But let's see who's with us today already. So Junior Thompson, I think I already said what's up. William Little One, I think, who was first. Appreciate you guys. Xander, Base Connor, what up, brothers? Nilson Lopes, Boinote, all right, from Brazil. I love it. We're getting more and more Brasileiros showing up to our shows, so I appreciate that. Mr. Kennedy, what up? Okay, so let me show you guys what this beautiful build looks like, and I'm having a ton of fun playing with it. Okay, so first of all, we're gonna go over this really quickly, and then throughout the gameplay, I'm gonna pause and switch back to the build and talk about certain components. But what's most important is that this build is centered around the 1886, okay? And this is not the named version. This is easy to get, so you can farm this just in the open world, all right? Just farm targeted loot rifles. And I have damage to targets out of cover. I think that's a really good matchup for rifles. And also, if you're looking to play in close and run and gun, really good matchup. So that's multiplicative damage. You want that. And then I have preservation on this, okay? And I'm gonna go into more of why that's the case. But preservation is basically giving us 20% armor on kill, okay? Because we're always going for the head, right? This is a headshot build. So constantly getting 20% armor on kill, constantly. I can't stress that enough, and you'll see that. And so this, the deal is that this rifle is so strong that any of the talents that are offered, I realize on the offensive side, are sort of unnecessary, and the build deems them unnecessary and makes it makes a lot of waste and efficiency. And we've been talking about efficiency and a lot of the build videos that I've been putting out later, and that's a really important thing to consider, is the waste that you have on your build. So diminishing returns. And so I feel that if I put more weapon damage into the talent here, that we'd have a lot of diminishing returns. And that's been partly due because of how I have the build set up. So it does depend on what builds are synergizing with the rifle. So we're gonna go into that in more detail. But that's why this is why I'm not running the Virginian. That might be a question that popped in your head. Well, why are you running the Virginian? I love the Virginian. All right, I have it right here. This is the Virginian in comparison. All the stats are basically the same except for the talent. The Virginia comes with perfect boomerang, which gives us 50% increased damage on crit, basically. And so, but it's not, so basically when you crit, you got a 75% chance of that bullet coming back. And that bullet will have 50% increased damage. But you gotta land that shot, so keep that in mind. So if you miss that shot, then that's wasted, but not a big deal. But anyways, I'm saying that for the ideal build for the 1886, right, which is treated a little bit different than other rifle builds because it's so powerful, that the 1886 is better than the Virginian, and we'll go into that more. But I don't want to get stuck there. Let's not get stuck there. It's too early in the stream. Anyways, so best in slot, of course, we're going to be running the Overlord knee pads. Damage to targets out of cover. So we're now at total of 18% damage to targets out of cover. Notice there's no damage to targets out of cover stat on the offensive page here. Okay, so it looks like we don't have a lot of damage, but 18% damage to targets out of cover is a ton. That's multiplicative damage. It's a ton. It's a lot. That's a lot. All right. So we got basically minimum crits on this build. That's a good thing. And that's crazy to hear from a builder. So I'll go into more details on why that's a great thing that we have minimum crits. So that's a really good deal. So also for headshots, we are sitting at 163% for headshot damage, and we just need to be over 150%. So 163% is a little bit overkill, but it's doing just fine, so I'm not complaining. So we don't have armor damage or health damage on yesterday's build. That was a big difference. We had 14% armor damage on yesterday's build, and today we have damage to targets out of cover instead, and we have 18% of that stuff, so that's more meaningful actually. And we are just not able to show it on the stat page. But what I really want you to see here, and why we're on the stats page first, is I want you to see the stability. 92% stability, almost 100%. 100% stability, guys. So that's amazing. So yesterday's build, using the wide depth, we focused more on accuracy. Accuracy was the stat that was higher. Okay, but on the rifles, we want to go for stability. And I'll demonstrate that in just a second. But also the weapon swapping at 50% is a big deal. And that's because with these cowboy builds, these lever action revolver type builds, being able to cycle through your weapons is really handy if you want to play really, really fast, okay? So before I go into the other pieces, I'm gonna take a jog over to the the shooting range so that we can demonstrate what that stability does and why we want it. I'm sure you guys kind of got a general idea of what it does, but what up, Sinner? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you. All right, so I have no ammo. Notice I got, I don't know if it's gonna give me ammo actually. I think about it, I might have to kill somebody. Is it gonna give me ammo if or is it gonna make me turn that off? Let's see here. Oh, that's annoying. It's gonna make me turn off the, let me turn off the directives here. Yeah, so I'm running directives because this build really focuses on headshots, and so, you know, getting that ammo with the pistol, you know, blowing up a few heads with the pistol is pretty easy to do. So yeah, so pistolero running directives with these types of builds are great. So I would definitely recommend that, and we'll go into a little bit more of that as well, because I think the purpose, what I'm trying to encourage, is that you guys are farming the heck out of these events. So, okay, and let's send this all the way back over here. So let's take a jog over there now that we have some ammo. Okay. That's dumb though, right? You should be able to pick up ammo in this little testing range. They need to create some special rules for us here. Okay, so let's just put this here. I just want to demonstrate. So what I want you to see, all right, is the, actually, let me put this on invulnerable elite. What I want you to focus on is the barrel. I want you to look at the recoil on this thing. You're gonna probably say I'm cheating, because that's basically the type of build that I created. I created a build that has minimum to no recoil. Look at that. Look at that. So you can't do that with this rifle otherwise. What I mean is basically go full semi-auto on the trigger, right? Like, look at that. Notice that the barrel moves, right? But that's just the animation. But notice my reticule, my targeting system, it stays right centered in that head. I'm not even holding my joystick. I am not holding my joysticks, okay? So thumbs up, thumbs up, right? And then watch, thumbs up. There's no recoil on this weapon. So that's amazing. That's really amazing. So that, my dears, is going to be what this build is actually about, okay? Group of unknowns, what's poppin'? What's poppin'? Bang, bang, what's poppin'? The Jedi Tours making 93R build. Wait, making 93R build. What's a 93R? Why am I drawing a blank on what that is? Simon Taylor, what's up, man? What's going on, brother? Welcome to the stream. Typhoon. I'm glad you made it, man. What's a 93R? Anybody know what that is? Is that a pistol? I think it is, right? I think that's what that is. I just don't dabble with the pistols enough. I have been doing pistol builds, and I will be doing pistol builds as part of this series, so you guys know. Now, the Regulus is hands down my favorite pistol in the game, except I am going to do an alternate because I know that not everybody has a Regulus because not everybody raids. So I will be doing other pistol builds. I do like the D50. I also like the police. I forget what it's called. What is it? The police 551 or something like that. The police 350, I think, or something like that. But yeah, it's a really strong revolver. Also, the Orbit is also one of my favorites. But oh yeah, the 3-burst pistol. Okay, I think the one that comes with sharpshooter, right? Yeah, that could be kind of fun. It's a little maybe throw on the claws out with that. It'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, so anyways, this weapon handling is sort of a big deal, and it's kind of part of the discussion that we went into yesterday, which was here's the deal. Like the rifles and the handguns for headshot builds in general, right? For the best headshot builds are made of weapons that have a really high base weapon damage, right? So obviously snipers have pretty high base weapon damages, depending on the variant, but the ones I like the White Death, you know, they run close to 1 million, depending on how you have your build set up. This one's really, really high, the highest in the game, as a matter of fact. And let's see, what is the exact? So 821 is what I have this set up at. So 821. It could be, no, I'm not sure you can take it higher than that. That's 6 red cores with rifle damage and 1 piece of walker. So that's about as high as it gets, 821,000. So, you know, really, really high. And then also for the handguns, right? Like the Regulus has 600 and something thousand base weapon damage and whatever. So those make really good headshot builds. So what that does is it opens up the build slots to decide, you know, so from there you can decide what you want to do with the build. You want to add, you know, more survivability. You can do like armor regen or repair skills, or you can put on more weapon handling, accuracy, stability, focus on one or the other. And for these builds, like if you want to move fast, if you want to go really fast, then accuracy and handling are really important, especially stability. So Stability is the reason why I'm able to go fast here, right? Because I'm able to, you know, pick up on where I left off, so to speak, on when I miss a shot. So if you like yesterday's build with the White Death, which I really liked, it's one of my favorites actually. It's like the decapitated variant, right? And again, that link is in the description area below. But that's a really, really fun build. But it's not as forgiving as the 1886 rifle. The 1886 rifle is a lot more forgiving because you can sort of spam more of the trigger a little bit more. So and so if you miss a shot, it's not as painful because you know it's got a higher rate of fire than what the MMR does, the White Death does. So anyways, it's much, much more forgiving. So if we build in stability and some weapon handling, even add some accuracy into that, then it makes this thing even perform even better. And as you can see, I am taking shots in stride. I'm literally in motion while killing. So notice that and that's different than yesterday's build. If you notice on yesterday's build is that you have to actually stop and shoot. And there are times where I didn't. I could actually take the shot in stride, but it was, I definitely don't recommend doing that in yesterday's build with the White Death because you will get frustrated. You'll miss too many shots and get yourself in trouble that way. But you know, if the shot lines up nicely, I do take it. But yeah, no, with this one, look, I am in motion when I take these shots. And the idea of that stability, okay, is that, well, here's the deal. This build is really efficient, obviously. It's one shot, one kill, right? And then it's also one shot, one heal, right? Because I'm getting 20% armor on kill with that heal as well. So I am accepting that damage. I'm okay with the damage that I'm taking from the enemy while I'm standing out of cover, you know, face to face with them with this very low repeater, right? So, anyways, with that said, is that it's no good if you're not landing your shots. Who cares how much power you have if you're not landing your shots, if you're missing everything, right? So, but look at that, you know, and, you know, there's a boss here around the corner, and so we're going to take out his ass too. But check this out. So I do this on purpose, but look at this move. And so this is what stability can do for you in accuracy. Look at that. So in motion, you know, so that's full run and gun spirit right there, guys. That's full run and gun, cowboy, loco, spirit. So you can do that with this build. You can have fun with this build. I recommend this build. Let's see who's joined the chat. The Jedi Tour is a group of unknowns. 93 is the 3-round burst. Oh, thanks for Jedi and group of unknowns for letting me know. Yeah. Okay, cool. We got it. Jedi Tour has recommended the 93 R build. So yeah, well, I'll look into that, man. Sounds kind of fun. Let's see if we can make it powerful enough though, right? That's always going to be the catch. Is it going to be powerful enough? You know, but it'd be kind of fun if we can get the handling to make sense with it, you know, but you know, the base weapon damage is always going to be on the lower side. Anything with a, excuse me, a higher RPM tends to have a lower base weapon damage. So that would be the challenge, but you know, let's see what we can do. Junior Thompson, merciless rifle. I know it's off topic, but would it be good for a striker gear set? I mean, good question, Junior. I think we're gonna have to try it out. So I always pick up the merciless rifle from time to time to try to create a build for you guys, but I'm so underwhelmed I end up abandoning it, to be honest with you. And I always do that. I just want to put a disclaimer out there, guys. Like, I have so many builds that I create that you do not see. All right. And so I don't do builds just to cover the weapon, so to speak, because the weapon has to perform. It has to be fun. It has to meet the Tux standard, you know. So even if the weapon exists, doesn't mean I'm just gonna do a build for it per se. You know, I might do that from time to time, but it's got to be a weapon that rocks, and I got to give you a reason to want to run it. And so in order to have a reason to want to run it, I got to have a build for it. So the merciless looks nice on paper, but the realities of running it for me are just not that exciting. Now that's subjective, right? So keep that in mind. You might love it. But you know, that's where we might differ in our play styles, right? But for me, I struggle with the merciless because, I mean, so basically it runs similar to, it's sort of like the Pestilence. It's a one-trick pony. And what I mean by one-trick pony is that, you know, its talent tells you basically You need maximum weapon damage or don't even run me. That's what it's saying. So you need 6 red cores with the Merciless because those explosions aren't based off of explosive damage. They're based off of weapon damage. Just like the Pestilence ticks, right? They're based off of weapon damage. So that being said, you know, I put together these all red Merciless builds and go out there and I, you know, stack on those explosives and I can't even get it to kill an elite, just a standard elite on explosion. And that's sort of really frustrating because the gun itself is really weak, right? I feel like, you know, I'm just like tink, 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 you know, and the way it feels, the way it handles, like actually in the game sort of sucks too, right? It's like tink, 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 tink. It feels like I'm shooting a tin can, literally. But so, and not saying it's a horrible gun, I'm just saying it's not for me. But yeah, I think the striker setup is the best way to go. But what I want you guys to focus on here real quick while I'm talking, notice how I'm spanning these rogue agents in the head. You see that? And that's the no recoil. That's why you want no recoil, so that you can do that. So that's actually really amazing. And if you don't realize that, then you probably just don't use these kinds of weapons a lot with that kind of stability. But check out this next agent, this rogue agent here, and what I do to him. I'm gonna focus completely on his head, and I'm gonna span that trigger and just watch the no stability. Look at that no stability. I don't have to adjust my reticule, and he goes down. That's amazing, guys. That's really amazing. I just want to stress that the stability is a big deal here. And so I already have max weapon damage on this build. I don't need any more weapon damage, and I'll explain why in a moment as we get into more details of the build. But anyways, man, about that build, yeah, so I feel like, you know, with the striker set, you know, it's gonna help with the handling situation because also the Merciless has horrible handling. But I think what's to be tested is if, you know, it can make use out of all the amplified damage off of the chest, and I'm not sure it can because it may or may not have the RPM to make the most out of it. I'm speculating, I don't know for sure, but I feel like the striker build is best for you know, weapons that have some sort of girth behind their RPM. Even the lower RPM assault rifles are fine, but I think you're probably looking, you know, you got to have something at least like 550, 600 RPMs to make striker worth it. I don't know, what do you guys think? Anybody disagree with in chat about that? But like, I mean, I've thought about it for like this rifle because, you know, it could obviously use handling, but the RPMs are so low, I feel like it'd be impossible to even get my 50 stacks. By the time I get my 50 stacks, the whole dealio would be over. So, you know, that's that. But yeah, good question, man. I mean, I would just say just try it. And try it with the chest piece, try it without the chest piece. I think that's the big question. Otherwise, yeah, well, otherwise it's gonna be a preference thing on whether you like it or not. Undertaker N says skill burn oxide 6-piece. I run heroic and legendary. Gets most out of the groups through with no problem. Doesn't matter SHD level they are. Burns most enemies no problem quicker than shooting. Yeah, burns is pretty fun. Yeah, skill burn oxide 6-piece. Yeah, I mean, there's support builds for sure. So kind of different than what we're running here, but you know, the burn builds are usually as kind of where I started with the status effect builds. But I moved out of the burn builds. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel like the burn builds are kind of annoying because the enemy does a really good job of rolling out of the burn. Like, you know, you hit the gas and then he rolls out, and then you have to hit another one, and then he rolls out of that one, and then you hit a third one, and then you finally catch him. But you just dispense the three rounds of ammo. And so I found that kind of really annoying. I do prefer the riot foam, actually. I say we might as well just stick them and let our team burn them down. I think that seems to make more sense. And then the oxidizer, on the other hand, is obviously lethal. But what I do like about it is that if you roll on some skill duration, that cloud will actually hang out there for a while. So that's cool. But what's really annoying about the oxidizer, and don't pretend that this hasn't happened to you, is that you frequently kill yourself, right? Like, especially when you're running in group. The oxidizer with group is more dangerous to you than it is the enemy, because you'll be launching your chems and one of your allies will run in front of you and you hit him in the back. It doesn't hurt him, but it kills you. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I don't run that skill very often because of that, and also because it's sort of more of a support build. I think it's You know, great if you want to support the enemy there, but I don't know. I just don't feel like I need that much support in the game. I'd rather have the offense or the heals or something like that, but that kind of support. But yeah, to each their own. I think it's a great build. There's nothing against the build. The Oxidizer is awesome. But Group of Unknowns. Yeah, I've been meaning to try the Diamond back. It's on my other character, so yeah, I gotta whip that out and see if we can have some fun with that. Maybe the Negotiator setup. I've thought about the Negotiators and the Diamondback, and I know it's out there and that build isn't anything brand new, but I'm wondering if it's optimal. Like, you know, are you able to tag enough targets? Or does that make a terrible reload situation because you'd have to tag a bunch of targets and then go for your kill? You know what I mean? And so there's only what, 5 in the mag. So yeah, I don't know. What up, Crypto Danny? Welcome. Appreciate you coming to the stream. Joseph White says, time to dust off the Virginian in 1886 in the stash. Good global event to utilize them. Yeah, for sure. When these events happen, yeah, it's natural for me. These are my go-to weapons. And the Regulus. I look forward to it. I look really forward to pulling out the Regulus whenever I get a chance, and this gives me an excuse to do it. I hope you guys all get to that soon. Which reminds me, guys, the Tux clans are popping in a time where clans are really striving or having a hard time to thrive, I should say. And so, if you guys are looking to join a clan, definitely hit us up. The best place to find us is on Discord. Latina's dropping links there, but we just opened up our 3rd PlayStation clan. The first 2 filled up really, really fast, so we had to open up a 3rd. So yeah, so if you're on the PlayStation looking for a new clan, we now have slots. We literally just opened it up. It's brand new, so get in quick because they fill in quick. I think on average we fill our clans in about 10 days. So we do have a waiting list when we open our clans. So I hope you guys can make it. Also, we have clans on PC and Xbox if you're over there too. So we have multiple clans on Xbox. So we'd love to see you guys over there if you're interested in joining up on one of the Tux clans. And also, if you're not taking advantage of our Discord, this is my invitation to you. You should be. It is a free resource. And right now, when the game is sort of at an all-time low, although it's always growing, it's just a matter of perspective, but it's not growing as fast as it used to, because we're sitting around waiting for the devs to put out some new content. But if you join communities like Tux's Discord, all right, then, you know, you find new and more exciting ways to basically experience this game, whether that's through new builds or new relationships, right? Making new friends with new banditos, or taking on some of the Tux's challenges, some of the weekly challenges where we do things like, you know, play with only your pistol, or, you know, run 10 directives, or play a legendary backwards or something like that. Anyways, so we give you new and exciting ways to play this game. And so, but by doing that, by finding your community in the Division 2, it makes you less reliant on the devs, right? You shouldn't rely on the devs so much. Now, I'm not saying we don't need new content. I'm looking forward to new content, but I am independent. My fun is independent of the devs. Well, not 100%, because they drop these events and I love these events, and so I'm having fun playing them. But mostly it's for the farming, right? So, but anyways, this is your invitation to the clans and to the Discord. I really hope you take advantage, especially the Discord guys. This is now a very important time to make yourself part of the community. Basically, the Discord augments the game, okay? It augments the game, and what that means is it adds on to the game outside of the game itself, right? And so you can enjoy the Division 2 from your mobile phone, right? By engaging in these build conversations and these, whatever, just talking shop. So, also, if you're looking to group up for raids, that's the place to do it. You don't have to be in a Tux clan to raid with the Tux clan. So keep that in mind. We do have Tux clan channels. There are channels on Discord where you can hook up with people that are on your platform. But yeah, really good place to be. I hope I see you over there. And also for you Players Club members, so those of you that are on the Players Club and know who you are because you have a little school next to your name, the Discord has a members only channel as well. So that is a resource for you that you should be taking advantage of if you are not. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this gameplay. Let me go pause real quick and take a quick look at this build and make sure you guys get a good grapple on what's going on. So we looked at the rifle already, and I showed you the knee pad. This is basically best in slot. Notice we're running 3 pieces of Overlord. That's because we want the accuracy and weapon handling. That's definitely helpful. So my second piece of Overlord are the gloves, and I have weapon handling and headshot damage. So, and then the second piece also gives me that 20% accuracy. That's not a little bit, that's a lot. It's a lot of accuracy. My third piece of Overlord is the chest piece, which is giving me that 10% weapon handling, and then I have more headshot damage, weapon handling, and protection from elites. Notice that. Okay, the talent is Headhunter, and that's a big deal. So if you saw yesterday's build, this is the same chest piece. This is the same knee pads. So we are utilizing 2 of the same pieces that we ran yesterday, maybe even 3. I can't remember. No, yesterday we were running the Petrov Contractor's Gloves. So yeah, 2 of the same pieces of yesterday's build are on this build. So that's a big deal. So, okay, let's look at Headhunter, because this is why this is a big deal. This is you know, where you need to start thinking about your builds and thinking about efficiency. So just basically, Headhunter is going to take your headshot kill, it's going to stack those, and to raise your total damage to 1,250% by 102. It's going to raise your total damage by 1,250%. Okay, and you need to have at least 150% weapon damage to do that. So before I get too into that detail, I want to show you the backpack, which is Walker. You can also go Providence here, but I have weapon handling, headshot damage, more protection from elites, and vigilance, which is giving us 25% more weapon damage. And if we take damage, it disables us buff for 4 seconds, but we don't care because we only need it to proc our first kill. Okay, and then once we get our first kill, Headhunter's damage takes over from there. Okay, now you've heard me say that before. I basically say that on all Headhunter builds. The Headhunter's talent is so strong. I think it's, I don't know, what is it? The strongest in the game, 1,250% damage, right? Additional damage, that's a ton. I mean, you can one-shot anything if you have your build set up right. We're one-shotting named bosses. You saw it. We're doing it all day long, okay? Even without the stacks, we're 2-shotting named bosses. 2-shotting mostly, without Headhunter. Without Headhunter, this build 2 shots named bosses. You know, and the named boss does depend. So if the named boss is wearing a helmet, or if they're heavy, like a Chunga, then obviously that's not happening. But any of the other guys, you know, like the sniper bosses or the just the Marines, you know, from True Sons or whatever, you know, we can take them down in 2 shots. So, and that's because the 1886 is so strong. So listen to what I said though. I said that Headhunter is so strong that once you proc it, it takes over all the damage on your build. Okay, so it's only important that we have 150% headshot damage. So that's why I'm not rolling crits, because I don't need them. I don't need crits because headshot damage just takes over. So the crits are just waste. So I need the headshot damage so that I can get Headhunter proc to its fullest, right? After 150, you need 150%. And as you can see, every piece requires headshot damage in order to get there, basically. So on our stats, we're at 163%, so I could afford to lose 1, but I really don't need to. Or I could get rid of the D&H mask, but I like having it because my second piece of D&H is my holster, which is giving us that 20% stability. You see that? So I got the first piece of DH, which I'm really after for that 20% headshot damage. The pistol damage is nice too, because I am using the Regulus a lot. I have protection from elites there. And then my second piece is stability, and I really don't sleep on the stability for this. As you can see, that stability is what allows us to basically no thumbstick, span the trigger, and constantly hit the head. And you saw me do that in action too, and you'll continue to see me do that. So there's no rise in this weapon. And also part of that is because we have weapon handling. See, we got lots of weapon handling on this build, basically on every piece, right? Every piece is offering weapon handling. And I chose to do that. The other reason is because of the reload. Look at that reload time, guys. That is beautiful. That's faster than most of the assault rifles. Full reload at 1.9 seconds. I mean, watch the reload here. Let me lose the ammo. Watch the reload here. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, fast. That is fast. All right. So you want it to be fast because if you get caught in reload, then you can get in trouble. But also, for running and gunning, right? But I shoot, reload. I'm constantly reloading, and that's why I really like this gun, because I can shoot and reload constantly, right? So basically ensure I never get caught in a I'm empty kind of situation. You want to have the ammo in case you need to spam your trigger too. Let's like if you miss a shot and you need to catch them on your third or fourth shot, you need to make sure you have your ammo there, otherwise you get caught in a reload. So, which isn't that bad because we have all that weapon handling. Okay, back to the topic, because this is important. I want to make sure you guys understand this. It's really, really important. So Tux Talks, hashtag Tux Talks. So the important thing here is that Headhunter takes over. So what I realized, okay, is that the Virginian brings too much waste to the build, okay? Because once you proc that first kill, okay, then Headhunter takes over. So after that, you're chain killing people, and Perfect Boomerang is now trash, right? So it is basically a diminishing return, so to speak, if you want to put it into that language, because we've been using that word a lot lately. But whatever. The point is that Boomerang is now not there, right? After we get our first kill, Boomerang doesn't matter. You don't care. Vigilance doesn't matter. You don't care. Headshot damage doesn't matter. You don't care anymore. None of that matters anymore, because Headhunter's stacking your kill blows on top of each other until you get to 1,250%. So, I basically, I guess just to be realistic and not exaggerate too much, the only thing that Boomerang would help is to help you reach that 1,250% faster. But you're gonna get there in anywhere between 2 and 4 kills, depending on the enemies that you're killing. It's more of the enemies that you're killing that are gonna dictate that, more than Boomerang is, or whatever talent would be here. So when I looked at the talents on the in the library, what I realized is that there's not much out there that would be more efficient for us, right? So let's look at the recalibration library. And so, we got bread basket, so we get more headshot damage, after you land body shots. That's not gonna help. Killer, after you crit, that would require us to run a lot of crits on our build, and that would be waste. And plus it's only around for 10 seconds, but not horrible. It's just that we don't need it. The base weapon damage is so high, 40% more weapon damage is like, meh, and plus Boomerang does more than that anyways. So, and Boomerang doesn't time out. It just means you have to land your shot. That's the difference there. This one, you don't have to land your shots, which is nice. Optimist, that's more damage. But again, once you got Headhunter, wasted. Now, Preservation, I decided is a great option because we need survivability on the build, right? If we want to get out of cover, if we want to shake and bake, then we need to make sure we have something that's keeping us on our feet. So that could be repair skills. You can go that route, right? And if you want to go repair skills, which is a great option, this is another way to go, then use Reformation. That's going to grant you 30% more skill repair on your build, and with headshots. And it doesn't even require a kill, but 30% skill repair, that's a skill tier and a half, basically, okay? So you have a lot of space, so you can take all of these pieces where I rolled in. Well, first of all, the mods, you can just swap out the protection from Elite's mods and put repair skills, and you got yourself a beefy little drone following you around, right? So, but if you heard me say run and gun, you've heard me say that if you can combine fast time to kill with armor on kill, then you have one of the best builds in the game, whether it's an SMG or assault rifle or whatever. And then that's what we're doing here. And it's all happening right inside the rifle. The rifle has such a high base weapon damage, 821,000, with all that damage to targets out of cover, right? That it alone is one-shotting people, right? And then thanks to Headhunter, you're one-shotting bosses. So that's the fastest time to kill out there. Is there anything faster than one bullet, one kill? Let me know. But that's the fastest time to kill in my book. And so that means we got the fastest time to heals in the game as well, thanks to Preservation. So for me, that's better than repair skills because it's instant. Okay, but if you're more of a relaxed player and you're gonna be playing from cover, or you're gonna use this in Legendary, then you might want to go with reformation instead, okay? But I have this set up to, it's really optimized to run and gun in heroic build. I don't have this set up to run and gun in legendary, and if I was going to do that, it would probably be more of a summit build is what I was gonna say. So, but I probably wouldn't pull this into like a legendary stronghold so much. I think I would rather go sniper build. That's because those guys really play at range, and that damage just stacks up a lot higher at distance. Anyways, you know why. But so preservation. So preservation is better. That's why the Virginian with headshot, the Virginian works for headshot builds, just not Headhunter, and that's because Headhunter overshadows it. Now the problem is that Vigilance is the same thing. So Vigilance is bringing waste to the build, okay? Because once we have Headhunter procced, then it doesn't matter if I have Vigilance anymore. But the deal is that we need Vigilance for that first kill, to proc that first kill in case we're facing like an elite or something like that. So this allows me to 1-2 shot any elite in the game. So the problem is that if we had the Virginian and the Vigilance talent both, I feel like we just bring in too much waste to the build. So and you know, we need to focus on efficiency. That just, you know, if you think about your builds that way, you can have so much more creativity. Okay. So here I'm dropping in the chat feed my Virginian build, and I created that one, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and it's actually a Headhunter build, and it works really well, no doubt. I mean, it's a killer. It's one-shotting everything, right? So, but it's performing no better than the 1886, and that's what I want to point out. It's performing no better than the 1886, and that's because Headhunter takes over. Okay. Now, the other thing I want you to notice about the Virginian, just so that we're clear, is that it's not the first shot that's giving you the most. It's the second shot only if you crit, and then you have to land it. And that's, so boomerang is situational. Do you follow what I'm saying there? Okay, listen. So you have to land 2 shots in a row for boomerang to work, and the first shot has to be a crit. Think about that for a second. All right. So with Headhunter, okay, think about it. So if you kill a red non-elite with your first shot, then you don't need boomerang because the weapon is strong enough to kill a non-elite without boomerang. Okay. Just with Vigilance on your build. So even if you did crit on him, Headhunter is now activated. Boomerang is now obsolete. You guys following me there? Because it takes 2 bullets for boomerang to work, and both of those have to land, and the first one has to crit. That's situational, and I love this gun. I'm not talking shit about this gun. It is awesome. Must get this gun. It's for sale right now. The DZ vendors have it. If you're not doing that, then you need to be farming in, for named item caches. Excuse me. So it's an amazing gun. What I'm saying is that for Headhunter builds, you need to think about which talent you're going to run on your weapon or even on your backpack, because Headhunter is so strong, you might have some waste on your build and where you could do something else instead. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And so I thought about that, and I realized again that the Virginian brings waste to the build, and I'd rather have preservation to get myself armor and kill. Otherwise, what I'm going to have to do is run you know, like the death grips or 2 pieces of bellstone to get armor and kill on the build within one of these build piece slots, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what that ends up doing is taking away from, you know, from accuracy and stability. That's where I decided to run it. But there's so many different ways you can go with this build. If you want more armor and kill, you could do that. You can put on the death grips and bellstone. You can put on even more armor and kill, but I felt like we had enough here. And so with these slots, I could put on more weapon handling. I could put on repair skills. I even thought about doing skill duration. Okay. So, because the decoy is really vital for this build, but I decided to go with 39% total protection from elites. And that's because the decoy is basically busting out because I'm running 3 directives. Notice that. So I want you to notice that the directives dictated what skills that I ran, and they also dictated my mods and somewhat of the build, because I knew I was going to run directives, and I'll tell you why I'm running directives. But and so that made me think through the build a little bit differently on how I was going to run it. So I decided on protection from elites, and the reason why is because I knew I was going to be spending a lot of time out of cover for the most part, and sometimes when I'm lining up a shot out of cover, it might take an extra second or two, and that protection from elites just buys me a little damage resistance so that I can get that armor on kill, or so that I don't need as much armor on kill, so that when I kill that enemy standing in front of me, who I presume is an elite, then, you know, I get back to full or a really comfortable place. Without protection from elites, I might be taking that fire from him, and he might drop me all the way down to 0, and I get that 20% armor on kill, which is nice, but now I'm only at 20% armor on kill. So that just sort of basically gives me a buffer. It helps me stay at a comfortable place throughout. But so as you can see, we're one-shotting, guys. One-shotting that named elite. The event is really helping buff the weapon handling as well, so keep that in mind, as well as giving us a little bit of extra damage on those headshots too. So so you do have to adjust yourself for whatever event you're playing on, or whether you're not playing on an event, okay? But even then, without the event, I'm saying that boomerang would still be bringing in waste. So keep that in mind. The other reason, there's another reason why the this gun is better, this setup is better than the Virginian, and that's because the Virginian requires you to have crits, right? So let's just make sure we realize that. So if we look at boomerang, boomerang says critical hits have a 75% chance to return the bullet, which means you gotta have, you don't need crit damage, but you gotta have max crits. You would want to get 60% crits on your build there, okay? So we only have so many slots, and the rifle itself doesn't have any crit chance on it, okay? So it just says crit damage. So I'm gonna pull off 18% from these 3 mod slots, right? So I can put a crit chance here, crit chance there, and crit chance there, but that's only 18%. Then I can have 10% for my watch. So we're only at 28%. And we gotta get to 60%. That means I'm gonna have to have crit chance on all of my builds. And then I'm probably gonna have to run 2 pieces of Providence and Cheska on top of that. And now we're at 60%. You see what just happened? That's awesome. So what's awesome is that we just got a bunch more power because we got, crit chance and perfect boomerang, which is great. But now we're going to be missing more shots because I just removed all of my weapon handling, and I just removed all of my, stability, right? Because I had to put on Cheska and Providence. You see what I'm saying there? So you're gaining more power, but you're not landing your shots as often, right? I mean, I predict, I don't know for sure, but what I can tell you is that I'm probably averaging something around 50 to 60% accuracy with this build, okay? So you'll notice I often take 2 shots at an enemy. The first one might miss, and then the second one will land. So, pay attention to that. But either way, I think on average, I'm probably landing, 50 to 65% of my shots. So obviously, many of these enemies go down off of my first round out of the chamber. So, so we're doing pretty good. But that's thanks to my stability, thanks to my accuracy. And so if I had the Virginian, I think we're still going to be high too, but I think we're going to be a little bit less, right? But what's more important is that those shots, landing those shots, are what keeps you alive. It's not just, eliminating the threat. That's obviously going to keep you alive, time to kill, whatnot. But it's also healing you. You need to land your shots because that's your heals. It's your kill and it's your heal. Kill and your heal. I'm trying to get it to rhyme too much. It's your kill and it's your heal. You get what I'm saying? So if you're not landing your shots, you're not killing. If you're not landing your shots, you're not healing. This is not a discussion. This is not a discussion here. This isn't like your assault rifle builds or or your SMG builds, okay? Where you're standing 10 feet in front of an enemy and you got 50 in the mag. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a rifle that only has 5 rounds flat, right? So we can't afford to miss a lot of shots here. We just can't. We need to be able to land at least 2 of those shots and get a kill out of it. So yeah, you need to land your shots. So we need to have accuracy. We need to have stability. Now, stability is, you don't need to have stability, you know, as high as that I have it. But the reason why I have it so high is because it allows me to go faster and out of cover. But if you're a more relaxed player, then go more for the accuracy side because you don't need to spam the trigger as much. And so I want that stability so that if I miss that shot, I can recover really quickly. That's what it does for me. I miss a shot and I can recover. Okay, watch this boss here. Here's a prime example, and then I'm going to get to some more of your questions. So, because I know you guys have them. But watch this. I'll miss a couple shots. Miss. I spam my trigger. Miss. And then I land it. You see? That's stability. That was stability that did that, not the accuracy. Okay? Because if I didn't have the stability, then I would have had to wait in between shots longer, which means he would have got more shots on me. Might have even killed me. All right? So let's get into your questions. What up, Jaco? Welcome to the stream, man. I'm glad you caught this one. Hope you had a nice Christmas or holiday or whatever you celebrate up there. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you and everything you do in the stream. So Jaco, if you guys didn't know, runs one of the PlayStation streams. So does Latina. And if we have the other commander here, definitely give us a shout out. If you're in a Tux clan, give me a hashtag Tux clan in the chat feed so people in the chat know who you are. So if any of you guys want in or want to parlay with any of these clan commanders or members, then, you know, just look out for that Tux clan and do an at, you know, Latina or at Jaco, and let them know that you want to discuss joining the clan, and then they will hook you up from there. Or, of course, head over to our Discord. Latina is dropping links. Let's see who else is joined the feed. Blackwater 21, what's up, man? If I didn't say hello, I can't remember if I did. I did see you pop in, though. Appreciate you coming, showing up, man. Showing up for these streams. Hope you guys all checked out the build video too. Just as a reminder, the build video for this 1886 build, and I know we are discussing things, but I'm, you know, obviously breaking it apart and really opening up the conversation for why this build is set up the way it is. And of course, I'm, you know, you guys can get builds anywhere, right? Any content creator can give you a build, you know? So there's plenty of content creators out there that are creating builds. But what I'm also trying to do too, and this may or may not be your style, but this is the way I do things, and I do it for the community, is that I'm trying to drop some knowledge nuggets for you guys so that when you're sitting at when you're in your lab creating your builds and you're sitting there trying to figure out how to make it better. You guys always have your build ideas and you're gonna create those. But when you're trying to figure out how to make your build better, these are the types of questions that I want you to be able to ask yourself, the ones that I'm posing. Am I bringing, diminishing returns to my build? Are any of my talents going to waste? Are they not synergizing, right? Like the Virginian and Headhunter, right? So Perfect Boomerang doesn't synergize well with Headhunter, and many talents don't. And so I was not willing to lose both my talents to Headhunter. And so I am going to create a new Virginian build for you this week, but I'm going to do it different. And I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to do a Headhunter talent on the chess piece because that's the conflict. Now it works. You can use the Virginian with this. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It works fabulously. What I'm saying is that you're going to have a lot of waste on your build. You're going to have a lot of slots that are no longer doing anything for you. So if you run the Virginian, you're going to have armor on kill in your build, and then you're losing accuracy. And then you're also going to add crit chance, and then you're losing accuracy. But you no longer need all that crit anymore, right? After your first kill, you don't need a crit anymore. Headhunter took over. You don't need a crit anymore. Who cares about crits? Headhunter's doing all the work. You just need to land your shots. All you got to do is land your headshots. That's all you got to do. So you want crits, or do you want to land your headshots with Headhunter? That's the question. Do you want crits, or do you want to land your headshot? And that's not a trick question. And it's not really open for debate. I'm telling you. I'm just telling you, like fact. You know, no, it's open for debate. But the truth is that it's the talent is telling you I'm taking over 1,250%, trying to beat that, you know, and read Boomerang. Boomerang is saying, I can beat you 50%. And then Headhunter saying, no, you can't. 1,250%. My dick is bigger. Boomerang saying, but my dick is bigger. Yeah, you see my point. So you can go back and forth. You can argue all you want, but anyways, headhunter. That's the thing with headhunter and why we gotta think about it. And most of us also use sniper builds with it, right? And I use the mantis with headhunter a lot, and it synergizes perfectly because there's a little bit of waste because it gives you like 50% more headshot damage with the mantis, right, when they're not looking at you, which is great. But it does these other things. The mantis basically comes with skill synergies, right? It gives you the unlimited decoy, which is absolutely amazing. And if you heard me talk about it, the decoy is the best skill in the game, I think. And that's good. It's for DPS builds, that is. And it's versatile, right? It's really versatile. It helps you work on the offensive side. It helps you work on the defensive side. So, you know, the decoy is a must-have, and the mantis allows you to have unlimited. But also, the mantis highlights heads, so you can see heads in the dark at distance or in the fog, right? And so the nemesis doesn't do that, and that's why those two reasons are why I think the mantis is the best sniper in the game, or at least exotic sniper, because it synergizes, or you know, because of the decoy thing first and second, because you can see enemies in the dark. The nemesis can't do that. Now, nemesis is no doubt stronger, but just like I say, diminishing returns, right? How many bosses or how many enemies in this game can take the damage that the nemesis deals out? Not that many, only a couple, right? And so you want to build to what you're facing most often, and the nemesis, you know, brings a lot of negative with it that you have to deal with to clear out, you know, your simple non-elite enemies, which and veteran enemies, which are the majority of what you have, and other snipers handle them just fine, as well as elites. So anyways, here's a good example of a cold run. So you can go cold with your one-shot builds, so keep that in mind here. So noticing I'm missing a lot of shots, and so it happens, you know, just kind of adjust yourself, slow down. But once you land that first shot, then you kind of get back into your groove. There's a mechanic in the game, you know, with aim assist that, you know, it's not written anywhere, but the reality is it's there and you can feel it in your handling. But once you get your first headshot kill, you'll notice your aim assist kind of tightens its grip a little bit and helps you land all future shots. And I think that peaks out at like 2 or 3 kills. So. Q Mosley, off-topic question. So, is there no way to make the defender drone OP? There isn't a way, Q Mosley. There's not. I've tried it, so I've tried speccing into it all the way and trying to get that duration to be max and your skill haste be minimum, kind of thing. And so, but it's just really annoying because what ends up happening is you forget to activate it because it goes down so fast and so easily. So the decoy not the decoy, the defender drone, you know, which is one that gives you a shield, right? It's just basically constantly going on cooldown, right? It's constantly on cooldown, and so you end up. That's just one of those things where you end up getting used to not having it. So there are builds that make sense. Actually, it makes sense for this build. It totally does. But again, the reason why I'm not running it is because I'm running directives, and I got that one, you know, skill components directive. So those little green things that are all over the place, whatever that's called. And so, you know, if your skill goes down, then that means you have to go around and collect all those green things to make use of it. Now the fixer drone stays up longer, and so that's why I chose it, because it doesn't go down that often. Where shields or the defender are constantly going down. They're one use, and then, you know, it didn't even help you, right? Didn't even help you get out of a situation. So, but I do like it. I think it makes sense for a lot of builds. It even makes sense for this build if I wasn't running all the directives. Joseph White says, Striker has always been one of my favorite gear sets, to be honest, especially the slow RPM ARs. It can really help to burst damage. Lots of options with different guns, too. Yeah, I 100% agree. Joseph, actually, it's always been my favorite, too. Striker's been way up there. But now 4-piece Striker is my favorite. And I've been running 4-piece Striker, and you guys know that. So for all of you that have been following my channel, you guys know that I run 4-piece Striker. You've seen it on the Perfect Blend, that Striker hybrid skill build, right? That was a 4-piece Striker, and it was OP before the devs fixed Striker. And I think that opened up a lot of people's eyes, like, wow, Striker, 4-piece Striker does work. It is amazing. And then I was running it also for my Bighorn. I think that the Bighorn basically, you know, you basically want to go full auto on the head with the Bighorn. I think that's the only way to do Bighorn, not to scope in. If you scope in, you're just a poorly situated sniper. So I rather go full auto on the head, and Striker is the best way to do it. And because Striker fixes all the problems that the Bighorn has, handling and a low rate of fire. And that's what I think Striker's intended to do, right? I think Striker's job is to fix assault rifles that would be that are strong, that are powerful, but you don't love so much because of their handling and their RPMs. And so it fixes that. And it even does that for other weapon types too. But I think it does outshine in the assault rifle department. So good call, Joseph. I'm with you, brother. Hey, if you didn't know, classified builds are secret builds made just for Texas Players Club, true and hardcore Bandito member levels. These are extra builds I make as a thank you for supporting me in the channel and therefore the entire community, because that's what I do. I build and support the community. So if you want to help, or if you want to tap into these secret builds and help support the community, you can get access today by making sure you're at least a true Bandito member level. And that reminds me, we got a couple of new members that joined. Let me get to that. They joined actually before the stream started, so I want to make sure we get to them. But so let's do some special shout outs. I want to do a special shout out to Jared Peak. Welcome to the Tuxes Players Club. So he joined before the stream started. He joined while he was in the lobby of the stream. So appreciate you, man. Also want to welcome I Read Morty Time. Welcome to the True Banditos, brother. Appreciate you, man. Thanks to both of you guys for supporting me, and of course the channel and the entire community. And I do really say the entire community because I really want to make this a community focused channel. This isn't about me or how many subscribers that I have. If you guys notice, I didn't even show you how many subscribers that I have, because I don't want this to be a popularity contest. That's ridiculous, right? I mean, do you really care how many subscribers that I have? Do you really care? I mean, it might be an interesting fact, but it doesn't really say anything. I mean, are all of our subscribers as YouTubers, are they even present anymore? You know, or were they Division 2 guys from like back in the day, and probably it might even not be playing the game anymore, you know, whatever. So I think that the subscriber base doesn't truly represent your community, you know, and that's why I like Texas Players Club, and I even like Discord, but Discord is a little bit might not be truly reflective too, because how many people are actually have joined your Discord versus who are active on your Discord are two different things, right? But the Players Club is I think the real deal. It's like the real pulse, and I think you guys are doing a really good job here. I love that when I do a stream that I see all these little skulls in the stream. So you guys, if you guys notice that in the chat, that you see like Monteze, Xander, you know, all these people with their skulls, Mr. Detective. These are our Players Club members, and you know, and Rob Young. Hey, welcome, Rob Young. I didn't see you pop in, but appreciate you bringing the 100s. But anyways, these are people that are part of the Players Club. Now, if you're not part of the Players Club, it doesn't mean I don't love you. I do. And that's why I create these build videos for the entire community. And then the classified builds, the secret builds that I mentioned, those really are extra builds as a thank you for supporting me. So I put in a little extra work because I want to build up this community. And I think that's, you know, what's really nice is to see that the Players Club, these are people that love the game, you know, and that they want to see the game continue on, and I hope that I help do that, and by supporting me helps the cause. So thank you guys. I appreciate you for joining. There was somebody else who joined earlier too, but I'll see where he went. He was early in the feed too. So we got 2 today before the stream even started. So sorry if I'm missing somebody, but it's just not showing up on my thing here for some reason. But yeah, it's a good day. I hope you guys are having fun. How many? Yesterday I did a pulse in the stream and asked how many. What is the most red stars that you farmed from any of these global events? And I think the highest number that I saw from yesterday was 217 or something like that, around 250, between 250 and 220, let's just say. Has anybody farmed more red stars than that? Anybody out there? Bueller. What up, Caesar? Welcome to the nice stream. Live stream, excuse me. Matthew says preservation is 4% armor regen for 5 seconds. On the backpack, you could be running Bloodsucker or Adrenaline Rush for some bonus armor. Totally. You know, bonus armor is helpful, but it doesn't fix the problem, right? So the problem is that you took damage and you need to recover from that damage. And if you want to be going fast and if you want to clear content, you know, if you want to clear control points in sub 5 minutes, which isn't hard to do, but you got to be moving at a swift pace, then you need to be constantly healing. And so is your drone strong enough? Or do you need armor on kill? Armor on kills can be a little bit faster, but you might be doing your math a little bit different. And so I'm curious, but you know, you might be doing some sort of sub-metric, but my preservation says 10% armor over 5 seconds. And then if you get a headshot kill, you get another 10% armor over 5 seconds. And so since we're getting constant headshot kills, basically that's all we're doing, right? Then we're getting 20% armor over 5 seconds. So, and you said 4% armor regen for 5 seconds. I'm not sure where you're getting that, or maybe you just mistyped there, but or there's some sort of weird Reddit math I'm not aware of. So Reddit has, you know what I mean when I say Reddit math. There's a lot of guys that come onto the obviously to the chats and will spout some sort of mathematical calculation about, oh, effectively 90% more weapon damage from Striker or something like that, which is true. But it's just kind of like, oh, well, okay, I'm just, you know, without seeing the math, are we just taking people's word on things? But so it is helpful for you guys that do that in the community. If you guys post your sources, we love to read those sources. I love to read those sources. So I'm not dogging you guys. I'm just saying that it would also be helpful if you cited your sources, right? And so some people, you know, what's really funny is, like, you know, people have opinions, no doubt, but it's just like, you know, give us a why also, right? Like, the 1886 sucks. It'd be like, well, why does it suck? Why does it, just because you think so doesn't mean it actually sucks? Or is there a reason? And can you tell us what that reason is? And maybe we have people agree or disagree with you. Anyways, I think that always helps instead of just vomiting your opinion without any justification. Isn't as constructive of a comment as we would like it to be. So anyways, to be more constructive, I suggest folks that if you do have stats out there, that you cite your sources if you're doing some sort of mathematical calculation. And also if you just, you know, if you got an opinion on something, tell us why you feel like that. You know, it's not about being right or wrong, but we want to really hear your opinion. And you know, 1886 sucks. You know, if that's your opinion, it's just like, we're not really hearing anything. We just, you know, it seems like a troll more than anything, right? Because YouTube loves its trolls. We get a lot of trolls on YouTube. So don't be a troll. Be a TuxedoBandido. Anyways, side tangent. Let's see. Jaco, thank you for answering some of those comments. I see the CR had one about the backfire gun farming. Appreciate that. Ered says, question, why didn't you choose to run the name version of Headhunter on this build? Actually, that's a really valid question, Ered, and to be honest with you, it's just because I didn't have it. I often trash it. I get it often, and I end up trashing it just because I don't use it very often. And I run into some stash issues. I have a lot of stash issues. And it just so happens that I had the Overlord version, which from yesterday's build, and so I decided to run that one. But I also had a Providence version, so I could have gone that way. I use a Providence one a lot. Providence one with Headhunter makes the most sense for me. So the Providence Headhunter combination is the most useful. It works for most builds because obviously Headhunter wants you to have 150% headshot damage, and Providence gives you 15% headshot damage. So But yeah, so that's the good point. So to make the build, eRed has a good point. Like to make the build even more efficient, if you wanted to make it to the next level, take it to the next level. If you want to build this one out, then what eRed is pointing out is that you could run the named Walker and Harris chest piece, which is called Chain Killer, with Perfect Headhunter, okay, on your chest, and then run your Overlord on your backpack with Vigilance. So. But yeah, I'm just making use of what I have here, and you guys have no idea how many builds I slow roll because I want it to be absolutely perfect in the build loadout situation, because I want it to be god rolled, or I want it. But the reality is, like, you know, that's sort of vanity kind of stuff, because you know, these builds, you know, god rolling, you know, if you're at 10% crit chance and to raise it to 12% crit chances, you know, or crit damage, isn't, you know, a deal breaker for a build. And that's just a small, you know, that's really a small increase relatively. And you got to think about, is that 2% saving my life? You know, but I find myself often sitting on builds and not publishing them. I publish them eventually, but I farm the hell out of them because I'm like, I want that perfect chest piece. I want that perfect mask, you know? So these builds, guys, in most cases, I do not build overnight, you know? So I have to farm them out to create them for you. And so some of them take weeks, some of them take months. I have one in the shotgun build, the classified secret build that I'm putting out. That's a shotgun build I've been working on for months, and that's because I've just been waiting for this perfect chest piece to drop. And when you have your build so optimized that it is down to a single slot that you want to change, then that can take a long time to farm out. And I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Good question, iRed. Matthew Erickson says, if you're worried about crits on a build like this, you can run the Diamondback and basically get 100% crit chance. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think the Diamondback is an acquired taste. I'm sure you guys, everybody I think has tried the Diamondback at some point, right? And there's a reason why some people don't use it, and that's the targeting system. And this came up in yesterday's conversation, just we were talking about something different, but somebody was mentioning the Diamondback, and I don't know if it's changed. It's been a long time since I've picked it up. I do have some Godwell versions that are just definitely collecting dust, but so let me know, Matthew, if it's changed a little bit. But I've always found that the Diamondback was really situational in making it actually work, because the target that it picks up isn't the one that you need to kill. Now, I'm not talking about like to kill, that you need to kill. There's a difference, right? So here's an example. So with Headhunter, or with many of these builds that stack damage, like what you want to do is, if you can, is sometimes, you know, if you got 3 enemies standing in front of you, and one of them is a red, one of them is a purple, and one of them is a gold, then what you want to do is kind of pick off the red and then work your way up the chain. And that's because the red is easier to kill, and so you want to eliminate that chunk of damage threat to you the fastest, right? So you're eliminating a big chunk of threat in the shortest amount of time possible, where the elite's going to take you a little bit more time, percent, as an example. But also because you know he's a guaranteed 1 shot, 1 kill, where the elite might be 2 or 3 shots. And so you're going to proc Headhunter talent with the single bullet, like just what you saw right there. So I basically got that red, and I unfortunately missed the yellow there, but I only nicked him. But he's a guaranteed 1 shot. So that's what I did. So I reacquired a targeter there. Now I'm going back for my gold. Boom. I mean, I could have got him anyways because he was almost dead. But no, that is my strategy. If you notice that I will acquire a non-elite target as a priority over an elite target. Now with this setup, it is so strong you don't have to do that. It's more of a habit for me. With Headhunter, it's like that. So, and that's mostly true if you're not in an event. The event is boosting this, where it doesn't really matter. But yeah, but you do bring up a good point. The Diamondback does not require crits chance, and so that does make it actually an ideal situation. That's very true. But you know, when it comes to synergizing damage, it does give you crit damage, but then again, I'm not so sure we want that anymore either with Headhunter, you know. And so the second part of your question, Matthew, you're bringing up some good points here, so I'm going to address it. But and I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just giving you different perspectives. So you're definitely not wrong. I'm just also saying that, you know, there's a different side of the coin depending on how you look at it. But so any other damage bonuses you stack, this is Matthew. So any other damage bonuses you stack on top of Headhunter are going to multiply that new base number that is after their 1,250%. Absolutely, Matthew. But does it matter? Do you care is the point. You don't need it. There are so few enemies that can accept that damage that you, I mean, this thing is putting out 50 million on headshots, right? I mean, who can handle 50 million headshots? The rarest of named elites, the rarest, right? And even those guys that can take 50 million headshots, they're wearing a helmet anyways. So it doesn't matter because you have to break the helmet and then you have to hit their head. So it's really rare that you can get those guys down with one shot anyways, right? Unless you find a really nice weak spot, like the jugular. That's my point. 100% true. I totally agree with you, Matthew. Like, there's still damage beyond the 1,250%. What I'm saying is that everybody dies at less than 1,250%, really. But everybody dies at 1,250%. So any more damage you're putting out to that dead enemy doesn't matter because he's dead, right? And we're talking split miniature seconds, right? So, like, you know, he dies at the 1,250%. You don't need any more damage. That extra damage would be helpful for the rarest of situations, like aggro, right? Like, you know, or you know, which is the named boss at the end of District Union Arena or something like that. But he's 1 out of a million. Do you really want to create a build? Do you really want to use a build through the entirety of District Union Arena that is only tuned for him and has a ton of waste everywhere else where you could otherwise have armor regen or accuracy? What if you could land more shots throughout the entire thing, which in turn is going to help keep you alive, because if you're killing the enemy, they're not killing you, right? But if you're missing shots on the enemy, they're killing you, right? You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying my school of thought is correct. I'm just saying, just think about it that way, and how would that affect your build loadout, right? You know, and that's the thing. This is the deal. This is not just to you, Matthew. This is to the entire community. There are some people, and this is not to you at all, Matthew. So moving on. Sorry, because this created a segue, but I don't want you to think I'm directing this at you. But there are a lot of people that just cannot fathom, that have a hard time, and that are actually personally insulted by the idea that a DPS build brings diminishing returns. And I just created that build video that discusses that, and I took the strongest DPS build in the game and put it right next to a max ultra accuracy assault rifle build with no crits, with minimum crits, and did side-by-side visual comparison on the same enemy archetype to show you the difference in time to kill, and it's null. As a matter of fact, if I said I was running glass cannon on my weapon accuracy build, which is a rail splitter build, then which I was running, you know, the talent braced, you would have thought I was running glass cannon because that's how fast it was killing. I had a time to kill that was so amazing. It looked like I was running glass cannon, but I wasn't. But look at this one. I'm gonna call TT comparison builds. And there's 3 builds here, but check that build video out. It's pretty fresh. I launched it last week, just before Christmas. But yeah, that's a bit. But anyways, my point is that that's sort of what we're talking about here. It's like, well, after 1,250%, it doesn't matter what damage you're putting out, right? It's just because everybody's dead. So I mean, they're dying off 1 bullet. Who cares what the damage number is? It's just vanity from there, right? It's just they're dying. So But what I'm saying is that some people can't accept that. They have a hard time accepting that. And that's sort of why I do these videos, and where I kind of focus in on these conversations that we're having right now, because they're important. They're really important. It's just like, hey, open your mind. What else could you do on your build? What if you were landing more of those shots, right? You know, what would that do for you? So add some survivability. That's important, and we're about to see it here, right? So this is what happens. I'm in major threat zone. I had no life, surrounded, and I landed all 3 of those shots. Thank you. Case in point. Right there, right? Case in point. And I'm running all accuracy on this build and stability, right? That's what saved me there, right? And then the 1,250%, the damage, the time to kill also, right? So I guess what I'm saying is that, to everybody, is that when you have your ideal time to kill, it is time to be looking at your build efficiency and survivability, okay? And time to kill is part of survivability, so that's important to note as well. But once you get your ideal time to kill, it's time. And so what I'm suggesting is that this build at 1,250% with a really high base weapon damage has the ideal time to kill. And remember, we got, 18% damage to targets out of cover on top of all of that. So, and vigilance and whatever. So we got the time to kill. We got the power. I'm not saying we don't. We have more than enough power. We have the best power. We have the best time to kill. 1 shot, 1 kill. 1 shot, 1 kill. There's nothing faster than that. So we don't need any more damage. We need to look at efficiency of the build from that point forward. Efficiency in heals, efficiency in landing our shots, because that's survivability too, right? If we're missing all of our shots like I'm doing right there, then we are more likely to take damage. We're more likely to get ourselves in a bad situation. But yeah, that's one of my favorite topics to talk about, so I'm really glad you brought it up. But look at here. Look at this accuracy. I'm going to kill him while I'm blind. What was that did that? Was that blind luck? A little bit, right? No, it was the accuracy and stability that allowed me to do that. So I was blind while he's out of cover, right? But because I have really high accuracy, I was able to tag him while I was blind. And did you see that? I mean, that was just amazing, right? And so, anyways, all of that is handling stability. Everything you're seeing is handling and stability. And this gameplay footage right now. But really good topic, Matthew. I'm glad you segued that for me. I appreciate that, man. Eclipse is saying the bleach chest in the DZ needs a nerf. People are still using that, huh? Cardin Beam, I am new to the game. What should I farm for? Yeah, good question, Cardin. Boy, oh boy. You got endless fun ahead of you. Wouldn't it be great to be new to the game? I mean, just think of all the cool things you get to do. I mean, you did miss out on many seasons, but all the gear and stuff like that and all the missions, wow. The world is your oyster, my friend. But I would probably farm with the basics. I mean, I think you're probably gonna need a good set of Providence. The reason why is like your focus should be getting your watch to 1,000. That should be everybody's focus as a new player, because that's gonna get you up to the core of the community and all these builds that we share and stuff like that. Like, I am making the assumption for the most part that your watch level is at 1,000. When you look at my crit chance numbers and crit damage numbers, which are important factors in this game, then you're gonna be wondering why you're falling short, and that's because our watch brings a lot more damage and survivability to our builds. So anyway, so focus on that, and then the only way to get there is just by getting a lot of XP, right? So playing the game, leveling up. But other than that, you're gonna need to farm Cheska and Providence pieces and need to have full sets as well as Grupo, because you're gonna have to do what you can to get your crit chance up for those crit builds, which are pretty vital for beginners. I think that's probably the builds that you're probably going to start out with. So another easy build would be probably the Striker setup, actually, because it relies more on amplified damage than the crits. So you can kind of compensate by using the Striker setup, which is not a bad thing. It's actually an OP build. So look for the and the Chameleon, as a matter of fact, actually. Yeah, so that's what I would do. There you go. My Connor, well, who was that? Was that base Connor? No, I'm sorry. That was Carbon Beam. Carbon Beam. I'm going to drop a link for you, buddy, here. Actually, I want you to take a look at this build. I think it was this one, the Meta Millionaire setup, and it's actually a live stream. So Carbon, if you're hearing me, I just dropped a link called Meta Millionaire. Check that one out. It's actually a live stream, and where we talk about the upcoming, what I predict to be the new metas in the game, and that is mathematically proven in an article on Reddit when somebody disclosed all the mathematical calculations that they did. So there's a lot of transparency in that thought. So it's more than just an opinion. It is based off of mathematics that are really hard to argue. So, but one of those is the 4-piece striker set with the chameleon. And what's special about the chameleon, okay, why you need it, is that it brings all the crit chance that you need for a build. And since your watch is low, that's really going to be useful for you. So listen to me, every new player with a SHD over less than 1,000. If your SHD is less than 1,000, then the chameleon builds are your friend, especially those that really optimize around the chameleon's adaptive instincts talent. So adaptive instincts brings 20% crit chance, 50% crit damage, and then the gun itself brings another, what is it, 25% or 20% crit chance. And then, of course, there's that, what you have on your watch. Now, what I'm saying is that because you're new, you don't have all the crit chance on your watch maxed out probably. So the adaptive instincts is going to bring most of that for you, so that you might only have to roll like 12% crit chance on your build, which isn't very much. So look at that video I just dropped. It's called Meta Millionaire. It's going to be the new meta in the game. It is the new meta in the game technically. It's just still being accepted as that, because some people have a hard time getting away with the contractors and Fox's prayers. So it's going to take a few months for people to get accustomed to it, because again, when you bring up challenging things like this or new ideas like this, some people actually get insulted. I mean, I'll probably get death threats because I'm saying that that's no longer the meta. And it's just like mathematics. It's mathematical proven. There's no argument here. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about some, strange, matter of opinion. Like we're talking like weapon handling, whatever. We're talking raw math. We're talking amplified damage that's through the roof, with on top of crits, on top of multiplicative damage, on top of, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So, but yeah, some people are just gonna have a hard time accepting that, which is okay. But to each their own. But yeah, it's the cool thing about it though, bud, is that it's a really easy build to create. It's really, really easy. Striker's just easy to farm, right? Just, get it with crits already on it and weapon damage already on it, and boom. And then, I like running it with the Memento backpack also, but you might may or may not want to do that as a new player. You might want to, maybe look at something different. Because you don't have crits already on your build. On your watch, excuse me. And, the Memento, you lose some attribute slots. Anyways, that's a lot of details, but you'll get there. But just check out that build. It's really easy to create, and that's also another positive about it, whether it's meta or not. So. Let's see what Base Connor is saying here. Tux Clan. All right, buddy. Tux has pulled together some great folks, helpful, skillful, and always willing to assist farming, raiding, building. Those things and much more also brings levity to a community of perceived misfits in a world gone mad. Cheers to Tux, the leaders, and all banditos. Yes. Well said, Base Connor. Wow. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah, we've gotten to this point, I think, where the community of banditos, whether that's on Discord or here in YouTube, is become a beast of its own, right? So, of course, I had to spark the community, but now it's kind of self-perpetuating. It's growing all on its own, and it's become a really magnificent place and a community to be. And I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of you guys for creating it, because you make it. It's not me, right, anymore. But what's really cool about it is that, like what Base Connor is saying, is that it's really positive. So if you're a build connoisseur, and you should be, because you might even not know you're a build connoisseur, but if you love this game, then you're most likely a build connoisseur, because that's what's really unique about this game, right? It's a looter shooter, but all that looting is going towards these these really curious builds, right? Maybe you're going for these meta builds, maybe you're going for these off meta builds, maybe you're going for something in between, whatever. But the Discord, this community is caters to that. So if you love reviewing builds or checking out new builds to see what other people's running, or sharing your off-meta creations, your monsters, your Frankensteins, then you can do it on our Discord, or learn or pick up on other people's builds and get some other ideas from Discord. And so that's what's really cool, it's not a snobbish community. We're not a bunch of snobs saying, oh, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And if you notice my attitude, even on these forums, on these live streams, that I leave things open for the possibility of that I'm not the one and true god of builds, right? Like, I leave it open for the possibility. I hate it when somebody asks a question and, and a content creator's response is, it's my way or the highway. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm big, you're little. I'm smart, you're dumb. That's not me. That's not what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that, well, this is how I think about it. Maybe that will help you. That's how I roll. That's how my community rolls. That's how the Bandidos roll. And I really love that about you guys. I think that we've fostered that. We've created that environment. It makes it a safe place to have an opinion, right? And so if that sounds like you, if that sounds like something you want to be part of, then come to the Discord. You really make really cool friends there that I think that you really need in this time of the game. You need guys that you can rely on, that are playing, that have a passion for the game. You don't want to be hanging around the guys that are saying, this game is dead. This game is dead. Is that, if you love this game, if you want it to last forever, then you want to be part of my Discord. Because it does not rely on the devs, it relies on a positive community. And that's what keeps the game alive, right? As long as the servers are up, you know what I mean? Because we are finding new ways to play this game. And that's new ways to appreciate it, new experiences, right? And again, that's because people bring new experiences, not the devs. They gave us a place. It's a land. It's a planet, right? It's a virtual world. And so what you make of it is up to you. And so who you spend your time with in the game is going to dictate, or it's going to influence, I should say, on whether you're going to love this game or not, and how long you're going to continue to play it. Now, there's a content creator out there, not to highlight another content creator in this manner, but there's one in particular that his MO is to basically rant. That's what he does, and you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. All day long he rants. It's not just about the Division 2, but that's where I know him for. But he just rants. It's always negative, and people hate him for it, right? And he attracts. But my point is that if you look at his community, and if you look at his chat feeds and his comments, posts, and his in the community feeds and whatever, they're filled with people just like him. Negativity attracts more negativity. Okay, so he pulls that in, and I stand between being an optimist and a realist, and so that's the community I hope to attract, and that's what tends to happen anyways, right? So positivity attracts more positivity. So if you want to be around a negative community, not picking on that community, that content creator, but you're not going to love the game. You're going to quit the game. You're going to move on. But if you stick around a positive community, magic really does happen, right? I mean, my guys, my team, my squad, my boys that I roll with, right, which are some are in the clan and some are outside of the clan, we do some amazing things together. We challenge ourselves. We run District Union backwards, for example, and I create these challenge videos. That's how I create the challenge videos. It's because we challenge ourselves to do things different and fun. And it opens up this whole nother world. Do any of you, who here does solo legendaries, right? Now, I do a lot of solo legendaries in my build videos, but the reason I do that is not because I'm saying that's the best way to play. It's actually not. It's very challenging. You have to have a lot of persistence to do that, right? A lot of focus and patience and whatnot. It's very frustrating, even for the most advanced players, okay? But the reason why I do that is basically just to show you that, hey, if this build can solo legendary, it can do anything, because that is the truth in this game. If it can solo legendary, it's strong enough to be in group, strong enough to be in group solo, heroic, whatever. So, but if you do solo legendaries, it opens up a whole nother world of this game, right? A very unique world. Your builds have to be finely tuned for solo heroic. They have to be more optimized than in any group play scenario. So, or even solo heroic. So, so that opens up a whole nother world once you tap into that. So if you haven't done that, there you go. There's a whole nother world of Division 2 that you haven't tapped into. It's like hardcore mode, right? So there's that. Now, I don't do hardcore. I might someday. I just haven't had the opportunity to do it. But solo legendary is like hardcore. It's just a little more forgiving, right? Because if you lose the mission, you don't lose all your gear. But you do have to start over, and it takes a long time. So, you know, a whole other world of opportunities. And so, also, to do legendary in duo style, like with only 2 guys, that creates a whole other world as well. And it also gives you the opportunity to put together a game plan, to communicate better with your squad mate, and to also synergize your builds together, right? So that's gonna open, I promise you, that's gonna open up a whole bunch of new builds for you as well, right? Because you're gonna think differently about your build. Okay, he's running an Eclipse protocol set, so I need to run a max DPS set to compensate for the DPS set he's not putting in, whatever. You know, it's also gonna make you look at your specializations. Oh, this specialization buffs my team, this one doesn't, whatever. So, anyways, this game goes on forever, guys. It's all about who you hang with. You know, it's sort of like you are what you eat, you are who you hang out with kind of thing. Just like your mama said. But thank you, Base Connor. Big topic. I'm glad you brought it up. Let's see. Alfredo or Donez. Last week, 500 stars. No effing way. Holy crap. Are you guys seeing this? Okay, so earlier I asked, and actually yesterday's live stream too, what is the most red stars you've gotten from any single global event? Alfredo's saying that he pulled out 500 stars. That's insane. Alfredo, tell me, what is your SHD level? It's gonna have to be at least 500, right? Because that would be 500 shade levels, almost. Because you do get red stars from completing challenges. But that's crazy, Alfredo. That's insane. Trust me, I play hard. I'm grinding the shit out of this event, man. And let's see where I'm at. Let me show you. Because this is actually going to be interesting to look at. So here I am, standing in the rain. Sad tuxedo in the rain. Okay, so I've been playing this event for 2 days, right? So it's Thursday. The event activated on Tuesday. And I don't play around the clock, of course. But I got 67 stars. If you saw my stream yesterday, then you know that I ended yesterday with 25 stars. So that means I got, what, 25, let's see, plus 17. So about 35, 42 stars. So I got 42 stars in a single day yesterday. So that's pretty good. 42 stars in a single day. That's a hell of a day, guys. That's a hell of a day. So if Alfredo is saying that he did, what do you say, 500 stars? Basically across a week, right? What does that come out to? Is that like 75 stars? Sorry, I'm trying to pull up my calculator because trying to stream and do math is like trying to chew bubblegum and walk. You know what I'm saying? See, 500 divided by 7 equals, yeah, 71 stars a day. So definitely achievable. I agree with you because yesterday I pulled out 45, so 70 to 45 isn't that big of a leap. So yeah, no, I believe that's definitely possible, just based off of my own numbers. But I'm telling you, and last week was Golden Bullet, if you guys aren't aware. So the Golden Bullet is a really fun event. But let's talk about that. Let's talk about that because this one is an event that's worth it. I think that the animated event is the best in the game, okay? The reanimated event. And that, I think, is better than Golden Bullet. Now, Golden Bullet's fun because it applies basically to any build. Golden Bullet basically makes any build overpowered. It's basically what it does. Any build, like literally, right? I mean, Pestilence, a Backfire, any assault rifle. I mean, I was running with the Chameleon. It was amazing. But what this one does is it encourages headshot builds. Headshots give you 2,400 bonus XP on a headshot kill. And so you're basically, that's all you're doing is getting those headshot kills. So you're getting all that extra XP. And again, more XP means you're leveling up. And every time you level up, you're getting a red star. So you're getting more red star, or you have the ability to get more red stars from this event than from any of the others. Also, because you're going for headshots and you're using minimum ammo and not relying on your skills very much, it opens up the world for directives. So you can start running 10 directives in the summit or 5 or whatever in the open world. So more directives means more XP. And so I'm running 3 for this event, which is giving me 75% more XP on everything that I do. So think about that. That means more red stars. Now, the point of doing all of this, okay, let's just make sure we're on the same page here real quick. Let me pause this gameplay. But the point of all of this is to acquire these red stars to play these events, right? Now, by completing these challenges, you also get red stars, and I don't really focus on the challenges. I just play the game, and I end up completing most of them anyways. You see that? But you also get these reward tracks, right? And so then you're gonna get 2 exotic caches at the end here. But what I really like are the named item caches. You see those? So I'm gonna get 2 named item caches, also season caches. So, you wanna, the point of playing all these events is to farm those red stars, and then you go to the season vendor that's only open during an active qualified event, and you can spend those red stars on any of these caches. Now, what I'm suggesting, what I always have, if you've been following my channel, is to farm the hell out of named item caches, because that gives you access to really extremely rare gear, really. And we're talking about that, especially that Dark Zone stuff, those Dark Zone gear pieces, like the Death Grips, the Hollow Man Mask, the Virginian that we're talking about, right? And many, many more named DZ Dark Zone exclusive items that you can't otherwise get unless you're in the Dark Zone playing. And I know that not many people go into Dark Zone. The smallest community is the PvP community in this game. PVE is the largest community in this game, and that's why I focus on PVE, because that's where you guys all are. So I know many people, and also because PvP is broken, and a lot of people refuse to go in there because it's just not a fun experience. So that being said, how are you going to get those Dark Zone exclusive items? Well, you can try to get them through the vendors, right? The Dark Zone vendors, but in order to do that, you have to have Dark Zone credits, which means you have to go inside the Dark Zone to be able to buy things from the Dark Zone vendors. So that doesn't always work. So, but named item caches is going to give you those same things without ever stepping 1 foot into Dark Zone, and that's why we farm these named item caches. Moreover, we do quality checks, and I will be doing continuing to do quality checks as I always do. But where I open these named item caches for you in big quantities, so I save all of them. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm saving all of my red stars so that I can buy all my named item caches at the same time on the last day of the event, and then I will go live and I will open these for you guys. So that we can do a quality check, but I also give you build ideas, like this piece is excellent because you can create this build. This piece is excellent so you can create this build, or what about this build? Wow, you know? So that's the point of doing this too. But yeah, so I tend to get like 40 to 60% of the items that come out of these named items are Dark Zone exclusive. And then what I was also going to say is that the quality is really high, and that's what I've been checking. We're talking like 75 percentile as far as max rolls. Like, they're really, really, really good rolls that are coming out of these named item caches. Now, if you go to the Dark Zone, you're not going to get as good of rolls. They're going to be random, right? It's going to be all over the place. You can get crap, you can get good stuff. So I feel like this is the best way to get that stuff. All my God rolled DZ stuff has come from named item caches. And I've gone through my Dark Zone phases where I've gotten some named items out of there, but none of that stuff has really been usable. Ended up trashing it or whatever because I got better versions out of the named item caches. So that's saying something. That is saying something. That is why you want to do these events. Hope that makes sense. What you don't want to do, okay, what I advise you do not want to do is buy exotic caches with your red stars. There are so many exotics in this game. If you're looking for one in particular, okay, chances are not in your favor. So let's just say you got a mantis, right? And you want a God World mantis. Well, the odds of getting a mantis in that exotic cache are really low, right? And then the odds of it being better than the one that you already have is even lower. So what I recommend if you're farming exotics is just to do weekly projects or the daily projects, you know, where you get the exotics, like the Summit project, the Legendary project, and the Donate Resources project. Okay, so that's 3 exotics a week guaranteed there. And then you're probably going to get, if you play a lot, at least 1 or 2 in the open world. Now, you're more likely to get exotics if you do things like bounties, or by playing in lower levels, like challenging and even hard mode. I think you actually get more exotics in that mode than you do in heroic and legendary, believe it or not. Like, I play a lot, and probably more than average, I'm sure, and I'm lucky if I get an exotic to drop a week, like dropping in the open world. I'm lucky. You know, you saw that I've gotten 2 this week. 3 actually. I've gotten 3 this week. I got I think for Tuesday's build I got 2 memento backpacks in the same day. That was pretty good. And then not that I needed them. And then I got 1 yesterday. So you know, 3 exotics dropping in the open world in the same week for me is top tier. But it didn't used to be that way. I used to get them all the time. Exotics, I would get like 10 exotics a week, 15 exotics a week, but they changed that. And all you do is play heroic and legendary. So, but I do notice that if you go down to challenging, you're gonna get more. But it's been a while since I played down at those levels. But you know, I did check that back in the day. So I hope it's still like that. Anyway, so yeah, don't farm exotics through events. If anything, if you don't want named items, I would probably go for legacy caches next. They're a little bit more expensive and randomized. You're gonna get, you know, standard gear sets as well, like you know, Hunter's Fury and Eclipse, and you probably don't need that stuff. But at least you get 2 items for which is like buy 1 and get 1 half off. But named items, I think, are in many cases better than exotics, than named items. As you can see, we're running like things like the Virginian. Yesterday we're running the White Death, the Orbit, you know, Emperor's Guard knee pads. I mean, you know, Emperor's Guard knee pads are really, really valuable. Same with the Death Grip gloves. I mean, they're really handy for builds. So, anyways, a little tidbit. Xander says, check out the Game Over build, my favorite build from Tux. Best run and gun skill build. Found you for sure. Yeah, that's a really good build. I mean, I love that build, man. I wish I could play some of these builds more than I do. The Game Over build that he's talking about, let me see if I can pull it up. I did do a recent version on it, an updated version on it, so I'll try to grab the link there. But I think I have 3 builds out, 3 Game Over builds out, right? 2 in one video and then 1 in another. So let's see if I can find that here for you. But yeah, that's a really, really fun one. Here it is. Game Over. Oh, I'm in the live stream, so let me get back to the videos. But yeah, that's a really good video. There's no doubt. I mean, build. I mean, it does get you to play a little bit more out of cover and legendary, so you gotta aspire to do that a little bit. But you know, I mean, everybody knows that Foundry is basically OP when it comes to regeneration, right? Healing yourself. And so this build, you know, is basically takes that and hacks it into a skill build, and skill builds are always lacking in that healing department. So that's what makes it really unique and powerful. Here we go, I found it. Okay. Glad he brought that up though. I think it's worth sharing. So I'm gonna drop that that build. So Game Over build part 2. So I'm calling it part 2 because I actually created 2 builds series off of that, and this is the most updated one. So, but the first one's good too. Actually, it's just an updated one. But so yeah, sorry again. I'm trying to get caught up on everybody's comments here. Blackwater says he's using the rail splitter build now, and it's awesome. Hey, Blackwater, did you go all in on max on so because I got a couple of rail splitter builds. Are you using the one that has 180% accuracy? Did you go all in on accuracy with that? That's crazy. That's crazy. And I got so I took that in the legendary too. I took that in the legendary group, and so some people will be like, oh, you don't do any damage with that build, and in group play, oh, it's, you know, solo. That's my negative Nancy voice, by the way. Does Negative Nancy sound like that? What does Negative Nancy sound like in the Division 2? I feel like that's her voice. Or should it be that lady from the Midwest, like Jim Gaffigan? Oh, that doesn't do any damage in group play. Anybody Jim Gaffigan fans here? I love Jim Gaffigan, man. That guy, he just came out with another one, a little comedy bit that came out on Netflix. You should watch that one. It's all pandemic related and stuff like that. Hilarious. That guy, man, I'm a big fan from the get-go. Do you remember his Hot Pocket skit? You guys know Jim Gaffigan, Hot Pocket skit? Love that guy. He's basically, you know, this big, kind of chubby white guy. He looks kind of like a polar bear because he's like really blonde, you know, and then like big and white and chubby. But man, that guy is just hilarious. He's just a hilarious guy. But anyways, he's got this inner monologue of the audience, and it's always like this. It sounds like this Midwestern woman from like Wisconsin or something like that. Oh no. And so I feel like we need a voice for our Negative Nancys, you know, because because we got him in this game, right? This game is dead. Maybe that's it, right? Is that Negative Nancy? Is it a bearded lady? I don't know. But you know, they're out there, right? I mean, you see them all the time. You're enjoying your video, your YouTube, whatever your favorite content creator is, and you're watching his videos, and then there's somebody just vomits in the comment section, this game is dead. You know, just some random bullshit like that. And that's Negative Nancy, you know. Negative Nancy doesn't believe in build diversity. Negative Nancy doesn't believe in preservation or armor regeneration or armor on kill. Negative Nancy only has one DPS build, and that's with the M1A, and doesn't run in anything else. Negative Nancy spends more time in the raid than playing the actual game. Negative Nancy doesn't try legendary. So, you know, there's all these Negative Nancy stereotypes, so it's really funny. But I feel like we need that voice. What does Negative Nancy sound like? He, she. It's a he, she, by the way. Mostly he, I think, but a little less she. But yeah, I don't know. Little tidbit there. But anyways, but the point, going back to Blackwater saying that he's using the rail splitter build, the point of that build was to show you that if you roll enough weapon handling on your build, accuracy specifically for assault rifles, okay? Or even this build now, actually, we should just say, it's indistinguishable from glass cannon's power, right? So if I told you I was running glass cannon, if you didn't know what I was running, and I told you I was running glass cannon, you would believe me because I'm one shot, one kill, and that sounds like something glass cannon could do, or wish it could do. Glass cannon probably can't even do that, actually. But with the this high accuracy build using the rail splitter, where I got 186% weapon handling, it kills the enemy so fast that if I told you I was wearing glass cannon, you would believe me. And that's it's the same in group and solo, believe it or not. And it's a kind of a minimum crit damage situation. Now it does have some crits on there just because, you know, some of the pieces have it by default, and once you get your handling all maxed out, then that's where you're gonna go, is to crits and amplify damage or whatever. But I think that one uses a 3-piece striker braced on the chest, and then I can't remember what else it's running, but really good build, and it kills really fast. But my point is, I ran it in group, and I had the highest accuracy on top of the highest base weapon damage. I mean, total damage output out there. It wasn't a negative figures. So I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that when you're landing all of your shots, when you're landing more than average of your shots, you're going to end up having the highest damage output in the game, right? Because if most players are averaging 35%, it doesn't matter what their damage is. They're missing more than they're landing. You're landing more than you're missing at a higher RPM using the CTAR, of course, because that's what the rail splitter is. And so you're putting out more damage per second. It's going to help you. It evens itself out. Now, the thing is, though, the people, the Negative Nancys were like, oh, that's not true. Let me go into the testing range, and I'm going to show you, okay, I'm going to put on your rail splitter build, and look at how much damage I'm putting out. Now I'm going to put on my M1A build, and look at how much damage I'm putting out. My DPS is higher. There's the number. Okay, but how many enemies are just standing there for you in Legendary? Just standing there, 5 feet away from you, not moving, with their head perfectly still. None. None are doing that. And that's what the point of the Rail Splitter 180% handling build is, that it's a reality check for you, buddy. You know, the enemies are moving. You need that accuracy. You need to be landing. You're not landing enough shots. Your DPS sucks. It looks great in the range. It looks great there, but in a real world combat scenario, you're missing too many shots. You need to balance it out. Diminishing returns. Diminishing returns. We're just gonna end it up with that. Soapbox. Soapbox. We need a soapbox icon. I'm gonna create one of those for you. Holy shit. Somebody remind me to do that. Latina, remind me to do that. We need a soapbox icon. When Tux gets on his little soapbox, you guys need to be spamming me with those soapbox icons so I can climb on down from my soapbox. Emoticons is what I mean. I'm gonna totally create that. Xander says, I've used that Rail Splitter build. Very nice. Yeah, actually one of my, a lot of guys that I run with that are pros in the game, and I mean by veterans, I should say, you know, these are 6,000 SHD levels. Not that that means a lot, but it just means that they know their builds, their experience, they've run all the metas and whatever. But yeah, no, they lean more on the accuracy side at the end of the day. If you check out a lot of their builds, they end up having handling and whatever. And I create some of these extreme builds to make the point, so keep that in mind. Do you need 180% handling or accuracy on a CTAR build? Absolutely not. But I'm pointing out that do it, you will love it. You know what I mean? But yes, it does have diminishing returns also. And so in that build video, I give you 3 builds basically. I say, okay, here's the extreme accuracy build with the Rail Splitter, and then here's the meta build using the CTAR, right, just to keep consistency with the between the weapon variants. And then as the third, I blend the two concepts and be like, now here's a more optimal build, you know, where it has the right amount of handling and power so that you have less diminishing returns, right? So just helping you optimize, think through it. So that's the point of that exercise, right? So but yeah, but you're always gonna have people that don't agree, that just have a hard time realizing that DPS builds do bring diminishing returns. But that's Negative Nancy. There's no diminishing returns on DPS builds. That's impossible. There's no such thing as too much damage. Is there such a thing as too much damage? Maybe that should be the topic of the build video. But that's the idea that I'm posing, is that just like this, just exactly what we've been talking about with these headhunter builds. Is there such a thing as too much damage? Now I say yes, but what do you guys think? You know, is there such a thing as too much damage? You know, and I think that's why that build video, and you know what, I'm gonna drop another link here, is really important, because it's in the range, and when in testing range, okay, there's no such thing as too much damage in the testing range, because it's just math for you there. That's all that's there. There's no reality. It's simulated, right? So I'm adding the link. Okay, it's got, so I put too much damage as possible, and then I put a link. So, lost my train of thought there, but oh yeah. So the testing range is in real world, and so yeah, there's no such thing as too much damage in the testing range. There's no such thing, except for, you know, headhunter builds, obviously. But I'm saying for like just for your other outside of headhunter, there's no such thing as too much damage in the range, because it's not reality. Your target is standing still, and they're not shooting back at you, right? So you don't even need to be in cover. There's no such thing as too little cover in the range too, if you think about it that way, right? Nobody's shooting at you, so you don't need any survivability. So if you're in the range, you're like, there's no such thing as too much damage. The only thing that I see in the range is that you don't need survivability in the range. You don't need accuracy in the range. 100% agree. That's why the range does not tell a real DPS story. The range tells a horrible DPS story, okay? That's saying if you can land 100% of your... in the DPS, you are a god, right? you're taking no damage and you're landing 100% of your bullets. That doesn't happen in the real world. Absolutely nothing close to that. So getting that number is almost pointless because it's like, I'm not landing any of my shots. And so that's why in the game, and I mean in that video that I just dropped you, I do give you a visual comparison side by side of the same enemy archetype on the same heroic level. So I show, this is what the build can do against this enemy, right next to what the meta can do against this enemy. And look at that time to kill. That's what it means to land more of your shots, and it's amazing. It's like the meta is faster by milliseconds, and it's running perfect glass cannon, contractor's gloves, Fox's prayer knee pads, and his max crit you can get on that setup, which is like something like 186% or whatever. And I'm running killer on top of that, you know, for more weapon damage. It's just it's like amazing, right? And with the CTAR, which has actually a really high RPM, and most people just run the M1A, and I do an M1A comparison also in that video. But the Rail Splitter build has no crits, has no amplified damage, and it is only it kills basically equally as fast. The difference is so small the naked eye has a hard time even detecting it. That's how amazing, or how do I say it, you know? The reality is that's how the difference that landing your shots can make. If you land your shots, and this is real world battle comparisons with enemies that, you know, we're moving subtly, basically how this enemy is moving in front of us, slowly, but moving. You know, so these weren't guys that were running, they were moving slow like that. And even with the meta build, you still miss more shots than you land, even if the enemy's moving slowly. And so with these high accuracy builds, you land so many more shots that your DPS is basically the same. And that's what I'm showing you, if not even sometimes faster. With high accurate builds, your DPS is actually faster. So anyways, you gotta watch that video. It's actually an eye-opener, a big eye-opener. And I just think it's one of those things where, okay, we got the logic and we talk about it a lot, but when you go into the range and you see the, you know, these big figures that are coming out of the DPS stats, then you're just like, well, DPS doesn't lie, numbers don't lie. They do though. They do, because that's not a real world scenario. The enemy's not moving or shooting back at you. And so, you know, so think of like even your blind fire scenarios, right? Like if you got a high accurate build, you can blind fire and be landing all those on the head, basically. Like if you guys ever saw the, what's that SMG that I've been sharing with you guys lately? It's called the swap chain. So I've been running the swap chain as a secondary weapon, and it's got 950 RPMs. It's a little SMG, but it gives you 400% weapon handling when you swap to it. And so I've been using it as a secondary weapon because if you get in a pinch and you have to hide behind cover, you can swap to that weapon and basically put all 50 or all 40 rounds from the mag in your enemy's face while blind firing because of that weapon handling, right? And so it's absolutely amazing. The handling, the talent is all weapon handling. It's all weapon handling talent. And it kills faster than most, I would say, when wavering is active. So unwavering is active. But yeah, anyways, lots to talk about, lots to think about, guys. Just hoping to expand the minds. You know, you can also just take some LSD. That is not advised. That is not Tux advice, but just saying. If you're looking to expand your mind. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on some of these comments here, so give me just a quick second to see if I have any questions that did not get answered. Jay Morris, seeing your question here. Thank you for dropping it. Hopefully you're still here online. Says Tux, my bad, I got off at my work, but still, what is the best MMR in your question? I mean, in your opinion? Yeah, and I did bring this up actually a little bit earlier in this live stream, but I was saying that in my opinion, that I think the Mantis is the best. And it's really unique. One, it's fast. I think it allows you to acquire targets and kill them quickly. I think it's got a really nice velocity to it. But I guess, you know, if we were to compare it, I mean, I don't even use any of the other marksman rifles outside of, and I've tried them all, just so you know. There's like the SVD, which has got its little purpose. But I use, basically the only snipers I use that I've come down to realizing are the best are the White Death and the Mantis. Now, the only time I use the White Death is when I'm looking to go no scope, or I'm already running an exotic that's competing with the Mantis. So like the Regulus or something like that, right? Or I need to run the Sweet Dreams as a secondary weapon for some reason. Then I'll run the White Death. But the White Death lets you no scope, so I do like that. But the Mantis is the best. And so if we were just, and I think the competition usually comes between the Mantis and the Nemesis. Now again, the Nemesis can put out way more damage, but that's very, very situational. So the Nemesis ends up being, I think, a specialized, it's a special weapon. It's sort of like the Sweet Dreams, right? Are you gonna run the Sweet Dreams all day long and say it's the best shotgun in the game? Absolutely not, right? But the Sweet Dreams does a really good job at killing non-elites every 15 seconds. It's specialized, right? So especially when you get encroached or somebody's flanking you, could just tap them out real quick, put them to sleep, right? So the Nemesis is basically the same thing. It's really good if you're trying to one-shot, you know, like a Chunga that's jumping out of a train, an Iron Horse. It's basically good for those situations. Or if you're trying to take out aggro with one shot, or Boomer or something like that, right? It's just like, and that's because it's got this threshold of max damage that you can do that. But it's so overkill for the rest of the game, it's basically ineffective that way, you know, because you don't need any of that damage. So, but if you were looking to not run Headhunter, then you could go with that and it would make sense for you, and also so would Focus. So I think the Nemesis works really well for Focus, and I would run that if I was going to run it as a sniper build. But you know, again, you got a lot of redundancy. If you're using the Nemesis, why do you even need any of that power after you have Headhunter procced? And the answer is you don't, unless you're coming against a named boss or some sort of Chunga or something like that. And so you just come across these guys so rare. Like, so this guy that I'm fighting here, you know, this heavy dude, so I can just pull out my my TAC 50 and take him out. So I don't need the Nemesis. You know what I mean? So it's just like, for the rare time that I come across one of these guys, it's so rare that, you know, I mean, to use the Nemesis as your main weapon is unnecessary. You could just pull out your TAC 50 for that rare occasion that you need to take out a heavy. Now, I didn't need the TAC 50 anymore because his helmet broke, so I could have gone back to my Virginian or even the White Death. But that was just actually perfect timing. I mean, really good timing on how that happened while we were addressing this question. But so I think that the Nemesis is situational. Any gun that is situational, in my mind, is not the best. Okay, and so the Mantis is a more well-rounded, it has open use case for any content in the game. So you can take it into legendary, you can take it into raids if you wanted to snipe in a raid, and definitely any heroic content. You can one shot, and I like it with the Headhunter. I run it with Headhunter a lot. That's what I recommend. You could also do it with Focus if you wanted to, but Headhunter is just a really efficient way to kill in clear maps. But again, the real reasons, okay, so that aside, besides its practicality, so again, the Mantis is just more practical, so right there it stands out. But so if we were to add the White Death into the mix, so the reason why Mantis is better than a White Death and a Nemesis is because basically it gives you the decoy, unlimited decoys when you get headshot kills, and that is really, really, really valuable. I think the decoy is the best skill in the game for non-skill builds. Okay, so basically in the middle of a legendary combat close quarter scenario with chungas and drones and tanks, you can throw out your decoy and pick up and revive your homie. So it works. It's even better than a revive hive that way, right? Or when somebody's on your ass and you're about to get killed, you could drop your decoy and run for the hills. Or you can use it offensively. You throw it ahead of you. It takes aggro as you kind of flank all the enemies, corral them, and blast them in the back of the head. Sucker punch. So anyways, Mantis hands down. Also, you can see in the dark. So there's many times where you're playing at night. It's night on the map, or there's fog, or it's raining, and it puts a glowing halo around the enemy's head, so you can see them in the dark and they can't see you. So that's also really handy. So all of those things together make the Mantis, in my mind, the best sniper rifle in the game, but also the speed in which you can fire and you can reload, so you can pop out of cover. I can take out people that are 5 feet away from me, basically point blank them, quick scope them, if you will, and that's because it's got really good handling on it, where when you whip out the Nemesis, it's almost like the TAC 50. It's slow. You got to hold down the trigger for a long time in order to get the max damage. Now, if you run on the PC, then you might have a different opinion there. Charging up the thing or landing those shots is such a non-issue for you that you might think that the Nemesis is all around better just because it handles just as well as the Mantis does for you if you're a PC player and you're really good with the laser mouse. But there's still the skill thing, right? There's still the aggro thing with the decoy. The decoy allows you to pull in closer. The Nemesis, you might have to sit back behind all the aggro that's on the field. So, and then there's the scene in dark thing. The Nemesis doesn't do that either. But anyway, so between the decoy, between all of that together, again, Mantis hands down for me. But yeah, Matthew brings up the Ecom long stick. You could try that. It's been a while since I've run that. But I also like the other one, the Hunting 441 or whatever it's called. I actually really like that. I really like that. It handles really well. It kills really well. It just doesn't have anything that makes it stand out other than that. But it is okay. If all of the other ones were gone, I'd probably use the Hunting, whatever it's called, Hunting 441 or whatever it's called. The Scalpel sucks. I've tried the Scalpel. It's just like, God, it comes with what, Future Perfection or whatever it's called. But it sucks, man. It can't kill anything. It's slow, it's inaccurate, it's got a horrible rate of fire and stability, and it can't kill anything. And it's just like, ugh. So I created the, I tried creating a Future Perfect sniper build, and it's just, the thing sucked so bad, it just wasn't worth it. But I don't know, does anybody like the Scalpel? Trogdor Dog 04 Smith says Diamondback for life. Diamondback is the way to go. Cool, man. Cool. So yeah, I got to give that a try. It's just been a while since I've run that. But what are you running your Diamondback with? Trogdor Dog. Are you running it with? Back in the day, obviously Diamondback's been around since day one, basically. But back in the day, it was the Negotiators was really popular with it. But I'm thinking about it, and it's kind of like, well, you gotta hit target A, hit target B, hit target C, and then you just use 75% of your magazine just to mark your targets. So, I guess maybe 50% of your magazine, if assuming that you kill that third target. But if I put a bullet out on a target, I want him to die with that one bullet. That's my goal when I use a rifle. So if the rifle's not doing that, and sometimes there's user error, so that aside, but if the rifle can't do that, if it can't one shot, one kill, then I'm not sure I want to run it. And so that's why I don't really like the Negotiators concept with the Diamondback, because it's not so much of a one shot, one kill concept. It's more of like lowering enemies' life over time concept. But I don't know. It's been a while since I've run it, so again, maybe you can one shot, one kill everything on the field with the Diamondback Negotiator setup. But maybe if you run Negotiators with Headhunter, that could be cool. But then, you know, the problem with Negotiator's dilemma is that you don't have that many slots, and you need crit chance for Negotiators to work, so you'd be competing with crit chance. Well, you wouldn't need crit chance. Well, yeah, you wouldn't need crit chance. You're right, because as long as you're landing your shots, then you got on your marked target, then you got guaranteed crits. So there's that. So then you can put headshot damage everywhere else. So yeah, that could be interesting if you play with Headhunter. And then you mark your one target, and then start just spreading your shots. The problem is that you got to go for that named or that marked target. And I find if you got, I actually didn't complete this frame of thought earlier, but I find that you got one guy shooting at you, and you got two other guys that are doing whatever, picking their nose. And then the Diamondback picks one of the guys that's picking their nose, but you need to kill the guy that's shooting at you. So that's really inconvenient. Is it still do that, Trogdor Dog? Is it still doing that? Where it's picking random targets that aren't optimal for you to be focusing on right now? Let me know. Hey guys, if you haven't hit like, be sure you do that right now. And subscribe if you haven't, and appreciate that. And consider joining Tuxes Players Club. And if you didn't know, I create classified builds, which are secret builds made just for Tuxes Players Club, true and hardcore banditos. These are exit builds I make as a thank you for supporting me and the community. So if you want to tap into these secret builds, you can get access today by making sure you're at least a true Bandito member. You can click the join button below. I'm also dropping links throughout the chat feed to make it nice and easy for you. So thank you guys for all your support. You know who's in the Banditos or the Players Club, because they got the little head, little icon thing. Who's Brandon, by the way? Rob84, welcome to Tuxes Players Club. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you and your support. All right, go Rob. Hey, if you guys didn't know, there's if you go to my channel on YouTube, okay, there is a members only playlist. I'm gonna drop some links here. And there's also a members only channel on Discord. So I'm gonna drop these links for you Players Club members right now in the feed. But you need to make sure you're tapping into these resources, okay? Hotel Tango's got a really good question. He says, I watched your raid build video recently. Yeah, so I did a raid build for beginners, for new raiders. So it gives you all the builds that you need to start raids, so you should check that out. Thanks for bringing that up, Hotel Tango. But he also says that given you made the video of too much damage, which is the one that I've been sharing also throughout this feed, I have played around with that build number 3, which is the blend of weapon handling and max DPS, basically, right? And I do find it faster, and by faster he means faster time to kill. Would that replace the meta DPS for raids? The answer, Hotel Tango, is yes, subject to some minor tweaks. So raid builds always need some minor tweaks, okay? From, open world / mission combat scenarios. And the reason why is because if you're doing a DPS, all DPS engagements in the raid are really short bursts of DPS engagements, if that makes sense. So you're usually, I guess what I mean is like you're usually taking on, in most cases, like you're doing an Overwatch door scenario, you're taking on 2 or 3 enemies at the same time. You're not taking on hordes like in Legendary or Heroic, where you're taking on waves of 25 or 50, right? So with that said, things like the Memento backpack isn't always the best. And so if the build has a Memento, you might consider running something different, like Vigilance on your backpack instead. So I would do that. And I might be doing that in that build video. I just don't have it completely memorized. And the other thing is you want to minimize stacking of things, because things will tend to time out. So I think I'm running the C-Tar now one with Killer, so that works perfect. So yeah, definitely go that route. You get the first kill, the next 2 become a lot easier. So, pick on the red guy and then take out the elites with the C-Tar. But yeah, no, other than that, and then the other thing is I wouldn't run the striker's chest piece for raids because your engagements aren't long enough and the chest piece would time out. You wouldn't make use of the 100 stacks. So if you're gonna run 4-piece striker in the raid, do not run the chest piece in the raid. Unless for some reason it's a mega battle and there's lots of enemies for you to stack up on. Or you're focusing on a boss and you have the ability to stack up there. So it does make sense in some scenarios. Like maybe the first boss on Iron Horse, for example, or boss 3. And actually boss 3 would make sense in Iron Horse also. But most of Dark Hours wouldn't make sense. Boss 2 and Checkpoint 2 and Dark Hours make sense. Or 3, I guess. The one where you're taking out Dizzy and his homies. Because they're so tanky, you would actually get all 100 stacks. And you'd probably be able to maintain them really easy. Same thing with, it would actually work for Buddy and Lucy as well, except that I'd almost worry you have too much damage and you might kill them too fast. Not a bad thing, just your team has have to be on board with that. But yeah, so that's the things I would want you to think about. Is just like, okay, so you're guarding the door, you're taking on 2 to 3 enemies. If that's gonna be your role, then the chest piece isn't gonna make a lot of sense for most scenarios. But I would bring it along for those scenarios that it does make sense with. Like those that I mentioned, right? Iron Horse Boss 1, Iron Horse Boss 3, Dizzy and his crew, and then Buddy and Lucy. I mean, all of those make sense to me. But if for the alternate, I personally would run Glass Cannon. But if that's not your playstyle, if you're not comfortable with that or experienced or don't have the situational awareness yet because you're new to the game, then go with Obliterate instead. For the talent, that would make a lot of sense for that. Otherwise, you can do Tamper Proof if you need DPS support. You need to slow down the enemies, or Unbreakable. So those are all good chest options also. But yeah, really good question. Oh, Hotel Tango, sorry man. I thought you were literally maybe promoting a Hotel Tango or just love Tango so much, but I get it now. HT, I get it, okay. You're just using the military acronyms or whatever you call those, call signs or whatever you call those. But Brian Thompson says White Death for me. I get you, Brian Thompson. I love, just going back to the MMR question, I love the White Death. I'm not saying I don't. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love doing that point blank thing, you know me, the decapitator thing. So it's a really great, it's even good at range. So in this build, if you guys saw the build video, hopefully you did. And remember, the build video is in the link is in the description of this video, the stream. So check it out. But I am using the White Death as my secondary weapon, and I did put the 30x scope because when I do use it, I am using it for the long range situations. But the reality is that the 1886 handles so well, even out ranges, because of all the accuracy that I have, that I'm doing just fine with it at ranges too. So I rarely use the White Death in this situation. I basically cycle between my pistol and my rifle. You see, that was at range, and I landed that shot really nicely. So yeah, you know, when you put accuracy, you can get some really incredible shots worth bragging about. Say that. And this is what the pistol can do. Hey, can I do a quick poll with you guys? I want to see how many of you guys have the Regulus. Oops. Let me try again. Give me a quick second. I'm going to set up this poll. So, do you have the Regulus? Can you guys answer this for me? Because I need to, damn it. I'm sorry. Let me try this. Something's went weird with that poll. It like launched by itself. Hold on a second. Come on. That last poll, let me get rid of it because it just like launched by itself. So that yes no poll, please ignore that. It's not letting me remove it, but let me try this one. Do you have the Regulus? I need to know because I want to create. I love the Regulus. It's my favorite. And here comes the poll. Okay, it says, do you have the Regulus? And I want to create more Regulus builds, but I avoid a lot of raid exclusive weapons because I fear that you guys don't have them and that will just make you miserable to see how beautiful they are. But If you guys heard me say that, I think the Regulus is the best weapon in the game. So it's got a very unique talent, and it handles really well. Does what it says it's going to do, and it's really fun to use. There's lots of talents that synergize with it. You want to take out crowds, you want to use it in raids. I mean, it's just like, it's really handy, really handy. Great for running directives, right? You can put all directives, run Pistolero. Great for gaining XP. It's just really fun to watch the bodies. It's satisfying too, so that's really important, right? Any build that kind of comes with that satisfaction, that pink mist satisfaction. Are you a pink mister? Hey, mister, are you a pink mister? But yeah, so the Regulus. So I swapped to a lot. Watch it. Here's a perfect example. Boom. Look at that. It's perfect timing. Boom. Also, like when you get to the door and you can spawn camp and you just pick on that red guy, blow his head up, and everybody blows up. I mean, that right there. I mean, the explosions are. Whoever created the Regulus, thank you. Thank you very much for making my life better. I appreciate you. You need a raise. Now, whoever created the Achilles, or the even worse, the healing traps, go stand in the corner. What a waste. What a waste. That's sad too, because I mean, we need every skill that we can possibly get our hands on to create more build diversity in this game. And what a waste that those healing traps bring to the game. All of that space and development, just wasted. Stephen Flanagan, what up, brother? Irish, right? Ireland? You're out of Ireland, is that right? I remember you mentioning that. Or am I making that up? I love when my Irish buddies join me. So I lived in Argentina for 3.5 years or something like that. But I made lots of friends there, and most of my expat friends were Irish. Some from like the UK, and then, you know, some from the United States, but many were home origins to Ireland. So yeah, I got a special place in my heart for Irish peeps. Really good people. Really good people. I mean, community, friends, like, you know, just open, fun, you know, that way. Not all cultures are as inviting, right? And I think the Irish people just, gosh, this has got a way to them that's really inviting and friendly. And I love that. So big fans, a big fan of the Irish peeps. One day I will. Hunting 44, thank you, Irid. I appreciate that, man. That's my favorite. Hunting M44. We were talking about snipers earlier and which ones are the favorite. And Hunting, I couldn't remember the name. It was Hunting something, but Hunting M44 is actually one of my favorites too. It's just that it just gets overshadowed by the Mantis and the White Death for me. But if those two were on the table, the Hunting. And I did go through a Hunting M44 phase where I was running it a lot. And I actually found that I ran it with preservation, and that was also my favorite way to run it. I don't like any of the talents that they give you for snipers for MMRs. You know, you can use Ranger, but I just feel like, you know, sniper builds are really overpowered in general. You know, I just don't think that you need to maximize your damage on your build. I think you need to more like play your build efficiently. And it's a really tough setup because I usually end up defaulting to handling for sniper builds, because you also don't need a lot of armor for sniper builds, right? Because you're usually playing deep and from cover, and so you actually don't take a lot of damage. So, I mean, I only have armor on kill here with these builds because I'm playing run and gun. I'm in the fray, right? But with sniper builds, like with my Mantis build, I don't run any armor on kill on my Mantis build. I don't need it, you know? And I do have armor on kill builds, like when I go into the summit, if I want to be aggressive with it, then that can be handy, but I don't really need it. It plays better when you play a little bit deeper, when you play at a safer distance, I would say. You kill more effectively, and that's ultimately the goal, is to be an effective killer. So anyways, so yeah, I really don't like the talents that they give us for sniper builds. I feel like we need more like decoy reset type talents that we can run. You know, because we don't need damage, we don't need survivability, we already got that. So that's why I go with handling. You know, like when you're playing capital building, for example, you know, they can do a lot of damage from range. So these fucking runners, they get me every time. Oh, That fucking sucks. It pisses me off too. Anyways, so yeah, but that's a really good gun. Yeah, glad you mentioned the right name there. Good job, nobody. Is reminding you guys to make sure you get that Hollow Man mask at the DZ East vendor. So the vendors will reset on Tuesday. Also remember to spend all your red stars before Tuesday morning hits. So Monday night, make sure you guys spend all your red stars if you've been accumulating them. So let's see here. Okay, so the poll results are in. So 73% of you do not have the Regulus. So okay, that's good to know. So it's more frustrating for you then when I show you the Regulus than it is otherwise. But it really is the best pistol in the game. I just can't help it. I love it. And so I encourage you guys again to get out there and get it. It does require you to play the Iron Horse raid more than once because you got to complete it to open the project. Then you got to gather some a bunch of gear quests basically to donate, and a couple of those pieces like the backpack and chest piece of Future and Bulwark you can only get from the raids, so you have to make sure you get those, and you might not get all of those on your first run. And then you got to play again to collect once you donate all your things, to collect your final components, which are basically exotic diamonds, and then you could craft it. So at a minimum, you're probably completing the Iron Horse 3 times to get the Regulus, but it is also worth it. And as far as I know, you can get 1 Regulus per character that you have. Here's a little tip if you didn't know this, that if you have the Regulus, all you have to do is equip it to your 2nd or 3rd character. So get it off your main raid character, get it out of your stash. If you do that, the game will think that you haven't gotten your Regulus yet. So you can use your main character like I do. I gotten 3 Reguluses using my main character, the same character, okay? And so just by making the game think that I didn't have the Regulus, and all you have to do that is move the Regulus to your 2nd character's inventory, so outside of your stash. You can have 0 Reguluses in your stash, and if you do have 0 Reguluses, then the game will make it look like, will think that you not only completed your quests, but that all you have to do is collect your diamond components to craft the Regulus. So all I had to do is move the Regulus to my 2nd character, play the raid to pick up the 5 diamond components, which each boss drops 1, and then you get 1 from the crate at the end. And then you go back to Naya and you craft another one, and you can do that as many times as far as I know. I mean, I know you can definitely create 4 because you can have 4 characters, but there's a possibility you can have unlimited Reguluses. And I just haven't fully tested that out just because I don't have the time to do it, but because it requires you to complete the raid over and over again, and I don't do the raids that often because I am creating these videos for you guys. But it was said back in the day that you can have unlimited Reguluses. So I don't know if anybody's actually have just tried to do that. Anybody have more than 4 Reguluses here? I mean, why would you need more than 4 Reguluses? You don't. But the reason why it was important back in the day was, you know, when the game is at peak and you're farming exotics and you need to get God World exotics, having unlimited, you know, you can deconstruct the Regulus to get the exotic component, generic exotic component, so that you can craft or re-roll new exotics, right? And so that's why it was a handy thing to have, because you can keep crafting and deconstructing Reguluses and have unlimited guaranteed exotics. If you raid a lot, why not, right? If you raid a lot, why not? So the only trouble you have to do is just to keep making sure you don't have any on your character or in the stash. You have to roll them over to your other character, so, which is not that hard to do. You just have to remember. Steven, you use a controller on the PC? Yeah, that's cool, man. I think if I'm on the Xbox, but if I ran a PC, I'd probably be using a controller too. To be honest with you, PC guys, you guys are amazing. I just can't imagine, you know, playing run and gun builds with that one hand on the keyboard. It just seems like carpal tunnel mega for me. But you know, like the games that I've played on PCs tend to be like, you know, real-time strategy games or, you know, stuff like that. Like I was a StarCraft guy. You guys remember StarCraft? I loved StarCraft. StarCraft was really, really fun. So I used to play StarCraft and like I forget some of the other games, but you know the strategy games, you know, real-time strategy games, you know, like Warcraft and stuff like that. But it's been a while. It's been a while since I've played any of those games. So, you know, I'm a true console player. Consoles became a thing really in my generation, and so, you know, I'm in technically a generation before me, but I think they were most utilized in my generation. So, like, you know, the Atari, original Ataris, and you know, I know there were things like the Commodore and stuff like that, but there were people were playing on. But the original, you know, one joystick Ataris and the Sega Genesis, when they really started to go mainstream, you know, and that was my generation. I was a younger one when that was happening, and where I was influenced by it, and so I just kind of got a thing in my heart for consoles. But obviously, you can get better game performance out of PCs, and it does open up the world for more possibilities. I get that. I just have a thing for my controllers, and you know how it is. Like, what's really funny is like you sort of pick one console, and then that's it for life, right? At one point it went that way. So you're either a PlayStation person or an Xbox person, and it's really hard to convince one person to join or to switch somebody from that platform. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, has anybody here actually accomplished that? Let me know. Have you actually convinced a buddy that the Xbox is better than the PlayStation, or vice versa? That's a tough argument. That's like turning a Democrat into a Republican, or vice versa, right? Really hard to do. You got to be like extreme situations, right? You have to have these extreme presidents. That's when you get guys to switch over, right? But same thing with the Xbox, PlayStation. I mean, they really got to fuck up a generation in order to get people to move one way or the other. But it sort of levels out. The playing field is pretty level, I think. But I like the Xbox. You know, and mostly it was the games. I think that's what really originally got me into the Xbox. It was like the Halo things and whatever. But I do like the whole Tom Clancy gambit. You know, I've been into the Ghost Recons. I did all of those, the Splinter Cells originally, that kind of stuff. So just really had a blast. Did all the Call of Duties, of course, as well. And then once I discovered the Division 2, it was just like a whole nother level of all of that, right? Of everything that those games offered, I feel like the Division 2 just offered a whole nother level of it. Not on necessarily on the PvP side, but I mean on, like, you know, the running and gunning. I think the third person perspective is really nice. I think that's a way better than first person perspective. It makes you enjoy your atmosphere better because it's not so in your face, so you can get a more like 3D perspective of it. So I really like that. And you know, this game has the best atmosphere out there. So Stiflerza, I like it. That's funny, man. Welcome to Tux's Players Club. You know, appreciate you for supporting me, man. Supporting me, supporting the community, man. We're all in here together, and I hope to continue to build up this community and make it strong, bring us together, and that's what the Players Club is about. So, man, thank you for supporting me, man, bro. I really appreciate that. Also, you should know, you know, I do have a playlist right at the head of my channel on YouTube. So all of the content that I created for the Players Club, the members-only content that you have access to with your club level, you can find it right there in one easy place. And then I do have a members-only Discord channel too. And so I did post that link, a little bit of it up here. I'm actually going to pin that comment here so that you all can... there you go. So I just pinned a comment that has those links there for you, bud. So Stifler's, if I'm saying your name right, I think I am, because I think it's Stifler, right? But funny. Anyways, I pinned that comment, so take advantage of those links. If you're not on the Discord, you should definitely join this. It's a great community, great resources. Eclipse, I'm old, man. We're all old. We're all old. This game has a really unique demographic. You know, it averages like 30. The average, keep in mind, 33 to was it 33 to 44? No, 30 to 44 is the average player's age in this game. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. I mean, when's the last time you played with a child? And by child, I mean somebody less than 13. When's the last time you played with somebody less than 18? I mean, I can think of a handful of times. I think I've played with maybe 4 people in this whole time that I've played the Division 2. that were less than 18 years old. It was really, really rare that I come across it. Now, of course, maybe I've grouped up with somebody that was under 18 I didn't know, obviously. But as far as like of those that I know that have like joined in on chat or whatever, like there's only 3, and they were really unique personalities, almost like savants. You know what I mean? Like they were really smart. Like there was something unique about them. They weren't your average kid playing video games. And so that's what's interesting. But I think this game is more suited for adults because you have to have it requires a lot more patience and thought to go into the builds and to create these builds and whatever. And I think games like COD and whatnot, I think it requires less mental and time invested. And so you can just kind of get on, play, and kind of numb out a little bit if you want to. Obviously, you can also get into the stuff there, but I feel like, you know, I got Battlefield 2. I don't feel like it's that technical, you know. I mean, it's technical in the sense of like there's all these things you got to unlock, and some things work better than others, but like combinations of things and talent synergies and whatever, none of that's there, right? It misses all of that. So that's what makes this game unique for me. I love it. Love it. Marshall Jordan, what's good? Glad you made another one, bro. I always recognize you. You're my 87. King 9702. I can't imagine running and gunning on a controller. Laugh out loud. I need my headshots. That's funny. I'm on a controller. I do got to say though, I got the Xbox Series S or whatever, and it does perform better than the original Xbox. I could feel that the controls and the sensors, the gyros, and the controller, I feel like are a little tighter to bring more control for you. So I think they did a nice job in upgrading that. So. San Lorenzo, GT Online comes to mind. You're funny. Too funny. Hey guys, if you haven't already hit like, please like this video right now. I'd appreciate that, man. It helps get this video out there so other people can enjoy it. And don't forget that if you haven't subscribed, you need to do that. What are you waiting for, man? Subscribe. Only got so many hours in the day. Make them count. Subscribe. If you get buyer's remorse, you can always unsubscribe later. I read, can you do a video on the sources of amp damage? Yeah, probably. I do amped. Actually, I might have done that already. It was before the Striker update, but it might still apply. I do have a build called Amped, and where I maxed out the amplified damage on the build, so that has all the amp that's possible in the game. And you should check that build video out. It's called Amped, and I think I built it for the what's it called? The Apartment, which is a named MPX SMG that you can only get from the Dark Zone. But I do mention that the Lady Death would give you even more amp damage, but I just find that you really didn't need it. It was also requires you to constantly play out of cover to get the most out of it. Oh, and the other reason why is because I was using Versatile. So Versatile gives you 35% amplified damage by switching weapons, and you need your talents to synergize with Versatile. So if you switch weapons while Lady Death is active, then you're going to lose all those stacks, and then you're going to have to rebuild them, and you have to get out of cover to rebuild them. So that's why I wasn't using the Lady Death. However, so it's really difficult to use Versatile and Lady Death together. You could do it, but it really doesn't synergize. So when somebody says, oh, if you want to get max damage, run them, Versatile and Glass Cannon and Lady Death and Striker and, whatever. But like, yeah, you can, but you're not really synergizing. So it's sort of a vanity build that way, But so if you take the Lady Death out of the equation, then yeah, 4-piece Striker, Glass Cannon, and Versatile would be the max amp damage in the game. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. I think that's it. Yeah, because I don't think any weapon. Oh, well, there's Ranger, but that's not going to help too much with the SMG, right? But If you put Ranger there, that will obviously be more. But if you really wanted max, you want to go with versatile SMG shotguns, because that gives you 35% amplified damage. So it's hard beating that. Now, and then when you run 4-piece striker, that's going to give you another 25%. And then if you run perfect glass cannon, that's going to give you 30%. So hence amped. It actually works really well. You just got to have good situational awareness, because with SMG shotguns, you are playing a little bit more out of cover. You're kind of pushing hard, pushing fast, get yourself in sticky situations where you can get surrounded. And when you're running perfect glass cannon, you know, you could die. You can't really get shot in the back a heck of a lot, right? So you do a good job, because when you got good situational awareness, because you kind of get the jump on enemies. As long as you get the jump on enemies, they die before you die. And you take minimal damage. But if you're out of cover a lot, you can get shot in the back. And so that's where situational awareness is handy. And also, if you're getting shot in the back, you know, you're taking 60% incoming amplified damage, and that really hurts. So that can be frustrating. So it does require an aggressive playstyle, but it does pay off if you do it right. So if you want to get outside of that, then if you don't want to run all of the negative stacks from glass cannon, then, you know, just go with the striker setup and run an assault rifle and the chest piece, and you know, that's a good chunk right there. Or you can even do it with the Lady Death, probably, to compensate for that, and then not run versatile. Then you, with the Lady Death, give you 75% amp damage. Is it something like that? 90% amp damage? Can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But and then you're getting 50 from striker, so that's 125 right there. That's pretty good. Can't remember where Lady Death is. It might be 90. It's high though. It's really high amp damage. So the other thing is the Lady Death has got a small mag, but if we're just talking about amp damage, you know, one of those routes is your way, just depending on your preference. But anyways, look for a build called Amped. It says Amped on the cover, and it's an apartment build. So those are your keywords there. But yeah, otherwise I will look at doing something again similar, because actually amp damage is my favorite type of damage overall. I like it better than damage to targets out of cover, damage to armor, crit chance, crit damage. I like amp damage. So Hunter's Fury brings amp damage, right? So that's another route to go. It's also works well. So you could do a Hunter's Fury with versatile on your backpack. And you just have to make sure your talents sync with versatile. So Hunter's Fury brings you what, 45% if you run the chest. Well, if you don't run the chest piece and you run glass cannon, you can get even more, but the chest piece gets that amp damage to stick around. But if you're more on the vanity side of things, then you could run 4 pieces of glass cannon and then run, 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury and then run glass cannon on your chest piece and then run versatile on your backpack. And then that will give you 45% plus 35%, so it's 80. And then another 30% from glass cannon, so that's 110%, assuming you're not running the Lady Death. But if you run the Lady Death, then you're at 180% amp damage. But it's probably more than you need. But then, you know, you find Lady Death is a little bit of a pain in the ass. You'd either be using the Lady Death or not using versatile, or using versatile and not making the most out of Lady Death. It's going to work against you that way. So that's why you don't want to run the Lady Death with versatile. So Eclipse 187 says Gunslinger goes best with versatile SMG and shotgun. Yeah, it synergizes perfectly. It's like hand in hand. Totally agree with you, Eclipse. Just, you know, but you know, I only didn't mention it because if you're going for max amplified damage, Gunslinger is just total weapon damage increase. So, but you do have a good point. It does work really well if you're not worried about the amplified damage part. Blackpoint, hey Tux, have you tried 4-piece striker with memento and 1 bellstone? Probably. Everything else, yes. 4-piece striker for sure. Memento definitely, and I actually like the chameleon with it. Actually, I'm calling it the new meta. And unfortunately we're in these event builds, and so as soon as we get out of this event, I'll go back to working on the new metas and proving these out for you guys. But what I determined was the best, that seems to be hitting the hardest, is 4-piece striker, crit damage everywhere, no crit chance. Okay, no crit chance. 4-piece striker, crit damage everywhere, Memento, Grupo Sombra mask, crit it out, and then the chameleon. And I know it's critting over 1.2 million on crit at 1,035 RPM. Think about that, okay? That's a big deal. If you know your weapons, that's way stronger. That's why we're calling it the new meta. So I'm glad he brought it up. But that's way stronger than the M1A with Fox's Prayer, Perfect Glass Cannon, and Contractor's Gloves. The M1A only has a, do I have it on me? It's like 150 RPM, is that what it is? Let's see if I can find it in my character here. But the RPM is, makes a big deal. RPM is DPS, right? It's like basically the definition of DPS. Yeah, 180 RPM on the Baker's Dozen, right? So, 1,030, critting at 1,030, I'm sorry, critting at 1.2 million at 1,035 RPM with added weapon handling and accuracy because of the striker pieces, meaning you're landing more of those shots than the Contractor's Fox's Prayer meta build, the Perfect Glass Cannon. Plus, you don't have the negative side effects from all that glass cannon. Yeah, that's meta. That's strong. That's insane. It kills really fast and really hard. Check out the Meta Millionaire build if you haven't. It's I haven't done the full build on it yet because it's more Tux Talk stuff right now. But and then we got into these events in the holidays, so I will do a full build write up on these and give you my final recommendations with numbers. But yeah, so I was able to clock it in, like I said, at 1.2 million, but the build wasn't even at full stacks. The hard part is that it's actually hard to track numbers because you can't test the Memento. So I'm gonna drop this build right here. It's called the new meta, paste, and there you go. So there you go, I just dropped that build for you, so check that one out. But yeah, it's really hard to test it because you can't get the Memento to test into testing range. So if you're looking at just what's my top DPS number or my top crit number, you can't get that you can't get those actuals. You have to only do that in the field. And the problem with the field testing is that there's so many things stacking. You have the Memento stacking, you have the short-term and long-term buffs. And so I think to get a true accurate picture, the point of a Memento build is to take advantage of your optimal Memento build is to take advantage of your short-term buffs. So you do want to get the calculation with at least one trophy. So keep that in mind. And so that's what I try to do. But so you want 30 Memento trophies with one trophy active for the short-term buff. And then you got to have your adaptive instincts, your body shots active, as well as your crits active on top of that. So you got a lot of, and then you have to have your striker set stacks fully active too. And then you got to have an enemy that can stand up long enough for you to get the max crit number on the head, right? Now the problem is that when you have all of those things stacked up or even close to stacking up full, you fart on the enemy and they pass out on you. So, you know what I mean? So that's the problem that I'm having with the build. I'm having a hard time getting that max number. It's basically too strong for any of the content, you know? And so I might come across like a Chunga or something like that, right? But even he dies too quick before I have, so all those things have to be in a perfect place in order, right when I step up to that chunk, I'll be like, okay, everything's maxed out. Let's see what my number is. And I got a fresh trophy I just grabbed. But even forget the fresh trophy. The fresh trophy, you know, when you step up in front of that guy, you might not have your chameleon stacks or your striker stacks all the way, and you're stacking them on him as you're testing. And the problem is he dies before you top out. And so, you know what I'm saying, right? So it's really hard to test in the field. You got all of these variables. But what I do know is the closest number that I got to being full, but not actually full, was the crit at 1.2 million, 1.25. So I think it probably critting at 1.3, 1.35 million, maybe even as much as 1.6. The only thing that was shy on that situation was I didn't have my strikers fully stacked up. So that's all amp damage that was missing. So I think that, you know, we're probably between 1.25 and as high as 1.6, but probably not over that. Now the deal is though, is that you're running strikers, so you got added accuracy, which means you're landing more of your shots, and you should be. And then, but more importantly, that boosted RPM to the Chameleon at 1,035, right? Is amazing. And I think that build has something like 205% crit damage on top of that. So, as you can imagine, it's really the meta destroyer. It's the new meta destroyer. But I call him Meta Millionaire, and I got a couple of builds there for you to take a look at in that setup. There's also a perfect focus version, which is in theory, and by mathematical theory, I should say, that in that build video live stream actually goes into that. We do discuss the article that displays the math, and it's a Reddit article, highly approved. You know, with perfect focus or with focus, you could achieve the highest damage in the game. They're suspecting 4-piece striker with perfect focus and Sawyer's knee pads will probably net the highest damage in the game. So, but it's a little bit situational because you have to be in scope, and it's not going to allow you to run and gun because you got to stay in scope long enough to get the max damage out of that focus. So, and so I do show that you can use focus on a run and gun playstyle, but you're not going to be in scope for too long, and to really optimize that focus. So, you know, that aside, check out those builds. But yeah, I did do that. But with Bellstone, I know where you would want to use Bellstone because you get that extra armor regen. The problem is that you're killing so fast, you don't even need that armor regen. So I would look, and I ran gunner on that build. So, you know, armor on kill is really the way to go if you can. And gunner's going to give you at least 10% of that. So, but yeah, so you get 3% armor regen from the memento, and then 10% armor on kill from gunner, and that's plenty because you're doing a really good job at killing. So if anything, I would probably I would either go more damage, like I did with Grupo, but you could also definitely go with what do you call it? The gloves. What's the name of the gloves? The death grips for more armor and kill. That's probably the other route that I would go. I'd look for more armor and kill than anything, but than armor regen. So, but yeah, no, it's not bad. Definitely not bad. Totally preference. So if you're a little bit more relaxed, you're not taking as much damage, you're playing for cover more, then armor regen is really handy. Or even for legendary. If you find yourself in legendary, I find armor regen can also be helpful because you're not getting as many kills as fast as you would be in heroic, obviously. But San Lorenzo, you got an interesting question here. For a DPS concept build, do you think stacking on bonus attributes is practical? I'm thinking of the Hollow Mask, Contractor's Gloves, Fox's knee pads, and 3-piece Walker and Harris. In short, San Lorenzo, no, it's not. So some of those are situational damage concepts. So you got to think about that. Numbers aside, okay, so numbers aside, but like some things aren't active. All of those damage types aren't active at the same time, right? So, and it's very rare that they are, right? So, you know, some people ran it like kind of statistically, but you know, not in any ultra scientific method. But it was determined that damage to targets out of cover, basically by consensus, theory consensus, but not by scientific method, that damage to targets out of cover is more useful than damage to armor based on how much more you're going to actually use it practically in the field. So there's that. And so that's basically saying, well, not every enemy has armor, so damage to armor isn't always handy. Now, if you're in the dark zone, it's really handy, right? If you're playing PvP, because basically you want to shred through that armor as fast as you can. And then when it comes to damage to health, that doesn't work at the same time damage to armor works. You have to break their armor to get to their health bar in many cases, right? Unless you're playing a non-elite. And then a non-elite doesn't have armor, so armor doesn't work. So they're not happening at the same time. There are situations where they do happen at the same time, but like, well, I'm not even sure if that's the case, actually. I am sort of assuming, like, but when you fight dogs, for example, because they do accept health damage, but they also have some level of armor plating on them, right? So, you know, are you applying health and damage at this health and armor? I want to say yes, but I am speculating. And the reason why I want to say yes, like if you look at the capacitor, actually, let me pull that up, because let me see. I pull it up. Let me get rid of this exotic because it's not gonna let me equip it here. It's a good question. So sorry I'm giving you a long-winded answer, but you got my answer. The answer is no. But if you look at the capacitor, so damage to armor, health damage. So it's got both. So it's layering those. Now the reason why is because the capacitor is also synergizes nicely with technician, right? And so if you look at technician talent, I'm gonna jog over there real quick. The technician talent gives us some extra damage perks also, right? And so I think that this is what the dev says. I'm totally speculating here, guys. So this isn't like fact, but if you look here, you get 12% more damage to drone skills, proxies, and robotics. And so, okay, you get where I'm going here. So the capacitor is designed to be really useful for, listen closely, hybrid skill damage builds. Hybrid skill damage builds, okay? Well, why do you say that, Tux? Why not just skill builds? Okay, well, because look at it. They gave us crit chance and crit damage, which is, they're giving us a starting place for more crits. They're giving us incentives for us to actually use the gun. So they want us to roll to finish off the crits, in theory, here, right? So that's how I look at it. And they give us some weapon handling and some more ammo too. So the idea is, and they even said this, is that they were tired, the devs were tired of seeing us kind of throw out our skills in legendary and just hide and let our skills do all the work. They wanted to engage the player base more, so they wanted the players to use their primary weapons. This is a looter shooter, not a looter skiller game. So that's why this is intended for a hybrid build, because they want you to spec in some sort of weapon damage or crits or something like that to balance it out, right? But also because of capacitance. So capacitance, if you notice, gives your skills 60% more skill damage. So basically you're getting so much skill damage from capacitance that you might not need to run all the skill damage attributes on the build if you don't want to, and you can put crit damage and crit chance there instead. And then you're getting more damage from the skill tier, 7.5% per skill tier, in fact. So but okay, so that aside is meant for hybrid builds. But if you look at this, which is really interesting, if you know the capacitor really well, then you would know that this gun actually hits really hard and shreds really well. And so if you've ever, and I did a build on this, it's called like fastest time to kill or whatever, and we spec around the capacitor. Okay, and basically what we do is we stack in on that damage to armor and health damage. We basically create the build to mirror what the capacitor is doing. So we have crits on the build, we have damage to armor on the build, and health damage on the build using our walker pieces and everything like that. So, and it does make it work harder, and so I do better. But I think that's because some things like Chungas and Warhounds, they actually take damage to armor and health damage at the same time, depending, okay, here's the depending, on where you're hitting them. Okay, so whether you're focusing on their head, or their backpack, or a weak point, or their butt, or their chest. So you gotta break their armor, their chest plate, right? To get down to that, so that's your damage to armor. If you shoot them in the butt, or the weak points, or their backpack, or their chain, that's all health damage. So, or, you know, if you, you know, plug their butthole with your bullets, that's health damage, right? So that's why this gun shreds really well, because you are getting best of both worlds on certain targets. Otherwise, it's just well-rounded. And so to answer your question, when you spec in all of that stuff on your build, it's sort of just well-rounded. Now, if you do it for like an LMG build, like the for the Plague of the Outcast, for the Pestilence, so that's really nice. And the reason why is because all of those things actually apply to the Plague. So damage to targets out of cover, damage to health, and damage to armor all apply to the Plague of the Outcast. They all work with the Plague of the Outcast. So not necessarily at the same time per se, but, well, it just really depends. If you have one waterfall going and it's on a yellow guy, then it's damage to armor. And then as soon as his armor breaks, have you ever noticed, if you don't like take forever to eat through his health, but if you have the Hollow Man mask and you're running 3 pieces of Walker, then you notice his health bar goes down just as fast as his armor bar did. So that's why you would want to run a full gambit like you're suggesting. And another situation is with the Pestilence, is if you got 2 waterfalls going at the same time, you know, one waterfall might be on a yellow guy, but the other waterfall might be working on a red guy, right? A non-elite who takes health damage, or a dog, or a tank. And so that's a situation where you're actually getting damage to armor and damage to health happening at the very same time. Does that make sense? So, but that's why, in my opinion, you know, it's very situational to run the full gamut. It's sort of like one or the other, you know, but it's not bad. I mean, I've run damage to armor and damage to health on SMG builds before, for example. I've run it on the Backfire build, but I call it the Chunga Slayer. That's why, specifically. It's a legendary build. And so that's because when I break his armor plate, I want to chew through his health really fast. But I realized that many times I'm not getting health damage and damage to armor happening at the same time. However, you can get damage to armor and damage to targets out of cover happening at the same time, or damage to health and damage to targets out of cover happening at the same time also. So, you know, you get 2 out of 3 in most cases. Now, I'm just saying that there is times I suspect all 3 might kick in, but it's probably only against the Black Tusk in most cases. So, and that's not a fact. I'm speculating there. So I'd be curious, but it's hard to track because you see both tickers going up at the same time, and you don't know if it's a lingering number. So Eclipse says, I've tried the Chameleon both PVE and PvP. Not a big fan because of the stacks you have to obtain. I agree with you, Eclipse. I totally know what you mean. Sometimes I kind of get irritated because of how weak you can feel when you just get going with the Chameleon, or when you lose your stacks. But that's also why I like it with the Striker Memento setup, because I mean, granted, like right when you get going, like literally you log in, you know, you're gonna feel a little bit weak because you have nothing stacked, you have no Striker stacked, and you have no Memento stacked. But once you get one of those or both of those stacked, your Chameleon is constantly stacking and resetting, stacking and resetting, stacking and resetting, right? So that's always gonna happen. But once you get those other things kind of going, you got some momentum behind them, you don't feel weak at all anymore. So you more kind of feel like all those stacks that the Chameleon brings to the table is sort of like an overcharge situation for your DPS at that point, because you have so much base weapon damage coming in from your mementos and from your striker amplified damage. Now, like I said, any build, and I designed these builds so that you can get out of cover and snag a trophy. And you've heard me say over and over, any build that can take advantage of a trophy is going to be the best build in the game. But I'm totally with you, Eclipse, especially in PvP. I don't think I would use it in PvP at all, the Chameleon, at all. So I would definitely go back to the CTAR scenario for me, just because it's fast, it's a laser beam, it comes with a really nice base set of accuracy, so you can land those headshots behind those shield bearers, right? So you want to remember to focus in on the head. They are counting on you not focusing in on the head. And so if you're using something heavier like the G3 or something like that, you know, that's got less accuracy with it and a slower RPM but hits harder, you know, the shield is going to be attracting those bullets more than you want them to be. So Black John Wick, glad you made it, brother. Hey, Rob84, see you need help completing Dark Hours and grabbing all locked crafting materials. Is that what you mean, DH, Dark Hours? Or which platform are you on, Rob? Are you on the Xbox or whatever? Are you in one of the Tux clans? If not, maybe you should consider joining. We're running Dark Hours now. So, like we always have a newer clan because we're growing so fast, and when we open up a clan, they tend to fill up in 10 to 14 days. We just opened a new PlayStation clan, so if you guys want in on that, I encourage you to join. We literally just opened, and these always come with a waiting list. So, and they do tend to fill up in about 15 days. You might have a little bit of a window of opportunity because we are in the holiday season. So, you know, with people being out and traveling or whatever, or maybe everybody's hiding from COVID, I don't know. But that might buy you a little bit of time. Yeah, so anyways, if you're into PlayStation, then, you know, check out that Tux Clan community. You can find them on Discord, and some of the captains are actually here in the feed as well. But if you're not, we also have the Xbox and PC clans. PC is best to go over Discord to get connected with the PC, and then we do have Xbox people here, including myself. We do have 2 clans, and we are about ready to open up the 3rd. We just opened up the 2nd clan. Both clans filled up pretty quick, actually, but the 2nd clan's already got a waiting list, and so we're about ready to open up the 3rd clan. Just, you know, with the holidays and stuff, that's kind of been slowing us down a little bit. But so, anyways, waiting lists on Tux clans are not a big deal, so don't let those kind of turn you off, because once we open up the clan, they fill up really fast. So we don't need that many on the waiting list before we do that. Just a reasonable number, just so you know. So we are looking to open up the 3rd clan on Xbox right now, and we're just on the hunt for a suitable captain for that 3rd clan. So, commander. So if that sounds like you, let me know also. And then again, Discord is a great place. It's really convenient to connect with us there. We got a lot of clan stuff going on Discord, and it's not all raid stuff too, by the way. It's just build talks, grouping up, community chat, that kind of thing. So cool, guys. With that said, that's all I have for you today, but we have a very busy week with the event going on, so make sure you are farming the heck out of this event. All right, get those red stars, and we will be spending them on Monday night, and then I will give you a demonstration of what I get out of my named item caches, and hopefully I have a ton for you to share with you then. All right, y'all, catch you on the other side. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Peace.